A simplified explanation of the Tao Te Ching. Chapter 1. That which can be spoken is often not the most important. The mountain path was quiet in the early morning. It was the first time Liang Chuan saw the old man. In a small tea house that hardly anyone knew. The old man simply asked, "Have you been wanting to know how life should really be lived lately?" Liang Chuan gave a wry smile. "Yes. I've read many books. Many on success. But the more I read the more confused I become." The old man smiled, pushed the tea towards him, and said, "Then let me ask you a question. What is success?" Liang Chuan was stunned. Is it wealth? Or freedom? Or doing what you want to do? The old man nodded. Everyone's definition is different. He looked into the distance. The truly important things are often difficult to express in a single sentence. If something can be fully explained, if it can be completely understood, then it is no longer the true Tao. Liang Chuan frowned. So life has no answer? The old man shook his head. It's not that there's no answer. It's that the answer is too vast, he said softly. The deepest principles of the world are usually not meant to be explained, but to be experienced. The wind blew through the valley. At that moment, Liang Chuan felt something for the first time. Perhaps the standard answer he had always sought never existed. Chapter 2. Good and bad actually appear together. A few days later, Liang Chuan came again. This time he seemed very troubled. "My work has been very difficult lately. Others got promoted, but I didn't." The old man didn't comfort him. "Do you think getting promoted is a good thing?" Liang Chuan was speechless. The old man smiled. "If there were no bad, would there be good? If there were no comparisons, would you feel it was bad?" Liang Chuan paused. The old man picked up a small stone. "If there were only one stone in the world, would you call it big?" Liang Chuan fell silent. Many things are actually defined by comparison. Beauty exists because there is ugliness. Success exists because there is failure. Ease exists because there is difficulty. The world was originally complete. It is humans who divide it into many opposing pairs. Liang Chuan slowly understood. So my current difficulties are just another stage. The old man nodded. What you think is a loss is actually just changing paths. That moment, Liang Chuan suddenly became anxious. Chapter 3. The more you see, the more chaotic the world becomes. One day, Liang Chuan showed the old man his phone. Everyone was living well. Success story. The old man glanced at it and said only one sentence. "Do you know why so many people are unhappy now? Do you know why so many people are unhappy now?" Liang Chuan shook his head. "Because every day you are reminded that others are better than you." Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued. "If society is always promoting harm, everyone will start comparing. If things are hyped up to be very valuable, someone will want to collect them. If desires are constantly stimulated, people's hearts will become." He pointed to the distant mountain village. People used to live very simply, but their hearts were more at peace. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly realized that many of his were not actually brought about by life. If he hadn't been constantly comparing, perhaps he wouldn't have felt like a loser at all. The old man finally said, "True skillful living is not about getting more, but about the heart becoming simpler." The wind blew through the tea house. Liang Chuan felt as if he was starting to understand a little. Chapter 4. The power of true harm. Invisible. That day mist rose in the mountains. Liang Chuan discovered that the old man wasn't making tea today, but was just looking at the valley. "What do you think is the strongest power in the world?" the old man suddenly asked. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. "It's still military force." The old man smiled. "What about the wind?" Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man pointed to the clouds flowing over the distant mountain peaks. "You can't see the wind, but the mountains are all influenced by it." Liang Chuan watched the mist slowly flow. The things that truly cause harm are often not ostentatious. He then said something strange. The true Tao is like an invisible container, never running out, always influencing the world. Liang Chuan frowned. Like what? The old man. Like air. Like laws. He paused. And then added, those who truly harm people are often like this too. Not showing off, not arrogant, but the entire situation will slowly be changed by them. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of some people. Those who truly caused harm seemed to be very low-key. That moment, he began to understand. Some strengths are quiet. Chapter 5. The world's treasures are not biased. Heavenly Queen. Liang Chuan came with a question. Why are some people so unlucky? And some people always smooth sailing? The old man did not answer immediately. He picked up a branch and drew a circle on the ground. Do you think the weather is biased? Liang Chuan shook his head. When it rains, it doesn't just rain on one person. The old man nodded. Heaven and earth's treasures are not biased. Liang Chuan didn't quite understand. Many things are not targeted, but are just patterns at work. The wind blew through the valley. The old man continued. The way the world works sometimes seems calm, even a little ruthless. But because of this, it is fair. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. So it's not that I am particularly unlucky. The old man smiled. Most of the time, it really isn't. He paused and said something very important. The person who is truly harmed is not the one who complains about the world, but the one who understands how the world works. Liang Chuan suddenly felt that this sentence was very important. If you understand the patterns, life will actually be much easier. Chapter 6. The strongest is actually softness. It started to rain lightly in the mountains. Water dripped from the eaves of the tea house. Liang Chuan saw a bamboo swaying in the wind nearby. He suddenly, if you are very strong, you should be like a rock, right? The old man glanced at the bamboo. When the wind comes, which do you think is easier? Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man. A rock is hard, but sometimes it cracks. Bamboo is soft, but it's hard to break. The rain gradually intensified. The old man continued. The world has a very interesting pattern. The weak things often live longer. The rigid things are more likely to break. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. Some people are very assertive, but their relationships are bad in the end. Some people seem gentle and can go far. True strength is not necessarily about confrontation. Sometimes it's about going with the flow. Liang Chuan looked at the bamboo forest in the rain. When the wind blew, all the bamboos rustled together, but one fell. At that moment, he suddenly understood something. Perhaps to become stronger, not necessarily to become harder. It's about becoming more stable, softer. Chapter 7. Those who don't fight for themselves actually go further. Liang Chuan came very early that day. He recently discovered something. There are two types of people in the company. One type of person is always picking up achievements. One type of person is always picking up achievements. Another type of person hardly speaks, but everyone trusts him very much. Liang Chuan told the old man about this. Liang Chuan told the old man about this. Liang Chuan told the old man. The old man just asked, who is ultimately more respected? Liang Chuan thought about it. It seems to be the second type of person. The old man nodded. This is a very interesting pattern. Heaven and earth have existed for a long time, but they don't exist for themselves. The sun doesn't think it's great. Rivers do not boast about how far they flow. Rivers don't boast about how far they flow. Rivers don't boast about how far they flow. Rivers don't boast about how far they flow. Liang Chuan slowly understood. The old man continued. Many people try desperately to make themselves important, but truly important people often don't rely on picking up positions. He paused. Some people fight less. Their positions become more stable instead. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of a supervisor. That person rarely spoke, but everyone would ask for his opinion first. The old man said a crucial sentence. When a person doesn't just live for themselves, they are more likely to be remembered by the world. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He discovered for the first time. It's a higher level of power. Chapter 8. The most powerful realm. Like water. After a few days, it rained heavily. Water from the mountain flowed down the rocks, forming a small stream. The old man pointed to the water flow. If you had to use something to describe the best state, what do you think it would be? Liang Chuan thought for a while. Still a tree. The old man shook his head. Liang Chuan was a little surprised. Water is very low-key, but it is very powerful. He started one by one. Water always flows downwards. It doesn't compete with people, but in the end, the sea is the largest. Water appears soft. But over time, it can even change rocks. Water can take any shape. What shape is the cup? It takes that shape. Liang Chuan looked at the stream. Suddenly felt magical. The old man said, truly powerful people are often like water. One doesn't have to prove themselves everywhere. But when encountering things, they can adjust themselves. Advance when you should. Stop when you should. Then the old man said something many people spend their lives learning. Instead, some people can compete with you. Liang Chuan suddenly felt. This sentence is very deep, because he used to try his best to win. But now he starts to think about something. Perhaps life is not about trying harder, but about being more stable. Chapter 9, Things that are too full usually don't last long. This day, a very noisy guest came to the tea house. He kept talking about how successful he was, how much iron he invested. His voice was so loud that the whole shop had to. After that person left, Liang Chuan couldn't help but laugh. This kind of person usually ends up in trouble. The old man nodded. Do you know why? Liang Chuan shook his head. The old man picked up the teapot. Slowly poured tea. Poured until the cup was full. The tea began to overflow. The old man stopped and asked, if things are too full, what will happen? Life is the same. People who are too proud easily fall. People who are too ostentatious easily targeted. People who try too hard to maintain success usually don't last long. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of a lot of news. Many people who were very popular suddenly disappeared. The old man continued. Truly wise people know when to stop at the right time. When successful. When capable. Just do enough. He finally said a very quiet sentence. Those who know when to quit can go further. Liang Chuan looked at the tea on the table. Suddenly discovered something. It turns out that the hardest thing in life is not to go up, but after going up, still maintain clarity. Chapter 10, True Masters are very stable inside. This day, Liang Chuan found himself changed a little. Before, when encountering something, he would immediately panic. But recently, he started to stop for a moment. He told the old man about this. The old man looked at him and asked only one question. Have you been less easily influenced recently? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It seems to be true. Many people spend their lives learning one thing. Liang Chuan asked. Old man. To stabilize one's heart, not to be pulled by the outside. The wind blew into the tea house from the valley. The old man slowly said, true masters are not strong on the outside, but have a stable heart. Not easily carried away by emotions. Not easily swayed by shadows. Not easily intoxicated by success. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. His life used to be like this. Others are happy. Being criticized makes one uncomfortable. Others' success causes anxiety. His entire life was controlled by the outside. The old man. If a person can keep their mind clear, then whatever they do will be more. Liang Chuan asked, isn't that difficult? The old man smiled. That's why few people achieve it. Chapter 11, What's truly useful is actually emptiness. One day, the old man took out a cup. He asked Liang Chuan, why do you think the cup is useful? Because it can hold water. The old man shook his head. It's not because of the cup's exterior. He pointed to the inside. It's because of the space inside. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued. Wheels can turn. Because the center is empty. Houses can be lived in. Because the inside is empty. Liang Chuan suddenly felt it was magical. The old man. Many people spend their entire lives pursuing more fame, more possessions. But few people pay attention to one thing. If life is too full, it will start to stagnate. No time to think. No space to rest. No room to adjust. A truly powerful life actually has space. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of his past life, filled with activities every day. Constantly busy, getting more and more tired, he suddenly understood. Emptiness is not, but power. Chapter 12, Why People Get Lost. One day, Liang Chuan asked a very real question. Why are so many people anxious even when they are doing well? The old man looked in the direction of the distant city. The city lights were numerous at night, because the world is too noisy. Too much information. Too much comparison. Too many stimuli. Eyes are constantly drawn away. Ears are constantly distracted. The heart is constantly pulled away. The old man slowly said. When a person constantly chases external things, they will slowly forget themselves. Liang Chuan fell silent. This statement was heavy. The old man continued. Truly wise people will slowly learn one thing. Reduce unnecessary things. Keep what's truly important. It's not about wanting everything, but knowing what you don't want. The wind blew down from the mountain, but knowing what not to do. Blowing down from Mount Feng, the wind blew down from the mountain. The tea house was very quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly realized something. Perhaps life becomes clear. Not by getting answers, but by slowly seeing which things are not important. Chapter 13, Much Suffering actually comes from caring too much about oneself. This day, Liang Chuan looked a bit tired. Not tired from work, but tired in his heart. I've discovered something recently. The old man looked at him. I seem to be easily influenced by others' opinions. Others. He would be happy for a long time. People are different. He would keep thinking. Even a single sentence can be thought about all day. The old man answered immediately. After a while, if you didn't care so much about others' opinions, wouldn't you feel much lighter? Liang Chuan was stunned. It seemed like he really would. Much of people's suffering is not actually the thing itself, but rather caring too much about one's own position, caring too much about how others see them, caring too much about winning or losing, he said softly. When a person takes themselves too seriously, the world becomes very tiring. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time, because this sentence really hit the mark. The old man continued. But if a person can take themselves a little lighter, they will actually be more at ease. It's not about denying oneself, but about not placing the self at the center of the world. The wind blew through the valley. Liang Chuan suddenly had a strange feeling, as if some pressure was slowly lifting. Chapter 14, The True Tao is invisible and intangible. That night, the sky was very dark. There was no moon. The night in the mountains was very quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, the Tao you often speak of, what exactly is it? The old man smiled. Do you really want to know? Liang Chuan nodded. The old man pointed to the night sky. Can you see the wind now? Liang Chuan shook his head. But you know it's there. The old man asked again. Can you grasp time? Liang Chuan was stunned. I can't grasp it. But you experience it every day. He said slowly. Many things that truly influence the world are often invisible. Natural rhythms, trends, the changes in people's hearts. The old man. The Tao is like this too. Invisible. Intangible. But always in operation. Liang Chuan asked, how to understand that? The old man answered simply. Don't rush to define. Don't rush to control. First see clearly how the world works. The old man looked at the dark mountains in the distance. Many people are too eager to change the world without understanding it. Liang Chuan suddenly felt this sentence was profound. He had always wanted to win before. Now he started to think. Perhaps understanding first is true strength. Chapter 15, True Masters. It looks very ordinary. A few days later, it became very cold in the mountains. In the morning there was a little bit of. Liang Chuan asked a question. Those who were truly invincible in the past, what were they like? The old man thought for a moment. Do you know? True masters are actually hard to describe. Liang Chuan was curious. The old man slowly said. Like walking on thin ice in winter. Paying close attention to the environment. They are very quiet. Like water in the deep mountains. Not rushing to show off, but constantly flowing. They are very inclusive. Like a large space. Where others can enter. And things can change. Liang Chuan listened. Feeling it was very insightful, the old man continued. Many people think masters must be ostentatious. Actually no. Truly invincible people usually have a characteristic, very humble. Very humble and very clear-headed. Very low-key. Very observant. And the most special thing is, they are not in a hurry. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of his past state. Rushing to succeed. Rushing to prove himself. Rushing to move up. The old man. Those who are in a hurry find it hard to see the situation clearly. He paused. And added. But true masters will slowly wait for the situation to emerge on its own. The fog slowly dispersed. And the mountains in the distance began to become clear. Liang Chuan suddenly had a feeling that his own vision was also slowly becoming clearer. Chapter 16, True Strength, is returning to peace. It was very early that morning. When Liang Chuan arrived at the tea house, he found the old man already sitting outside, looking at the valley. The entire mountain was very quiet. Almost silent. After Liang Chuan sat down, the old man suddenly said, "Have you noticed that the world is actually always changing?" Liang Chuan nodded. Work is changing. Relationships are changing. 225. Cities are changing. Old man will also think. Things will begin. Will also end. Liang Chuan was quiet. Old man continues. But the truly harmful person, the heart will not follow. Wind blows across the grass. Old man. When a person can return to a very quiet state, they will begin to understand many things. Because not urgent, not chaotic, not carried away by emotions. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of his past self. Once there were many things he panicked. Once the situation changed he became anxious. The world is constantly cycling. Day turns to night. Spring turns to winter. What rises will also fall. If you understand this, you won't panic so easily. Liang Chuan looked at the distant mountains. The fog slowly dispersed. At that moment, he had a wonderful feeling. Many things. Seemingly not so urgent. Because it will naturally change slowly. Chapter 17, The Most Harmful Leader. Barely visible. A group of hikers came to the tea house. One of them kept pointing at everyone. His voice was loud. Another person barely spoke. But everyone naturally followed him. Liang Chuan noticed. After they left, he asked the old man, "Why do some people not need to say much? And everyone still follows them?" The old man smiled. Because truly good leaders, their presence is actually not strong. Liang Chuan was a little surprised. Old man. Some leaders like to control. Some leaders like to show off. But the most harmful kind. He paused. When things are done well, everyone will feel they did it themselves. Liang Chuan was stunned. If a team relies on one person for everything, then it's actually very weak. A truly strong system is. Everyone can operate. Things develop naturally. No need to be constantly managed. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of something. Many successful companies. Actually, the leaders are very low-key. The truly harmful person is not standing at the forefront, but making the whole situation smooth. Wind blows, the wind chimes at the tea house door. Liang Chuan suddenly understood something. So true strength is not controlling everything, but things operating on their own. This is actually a very high ability. Chapter 18, When the world starts to emphasize morality, usually means there's a problem. This day, Liang Chuan brought up a question. Recently he saw many people discussing integrity. But at the same time, he also saw many contradictory things. He asked the boss. In an era that talks so much about morality, it seems like the old man looked in the direction of the distant city. After a while. Do you know when people start to constantly talk about rules? Do you know when people start to only talk about rules? Liang Chuan shook his head. The old man, when everyone starts to break the rules. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued. When a society naturally trusts each other, there's no need to constantly emphasize it, but if trust starts to diminish, then slogans will start to appear. Many slogans. Much propaganda. Old man. This is not because morality has increased, but because the original natural order has begun to decrease. Liang Chuan fell silent. This sentence made him think of many things. The old man's final words. A truly stable world actually looks very ordinary. Everyone does their own thing. There's no need to constantly prove how good you are. Nor is there a need to constantly emphasize correctness, because everyone already knows. The wind blew through the valley. Liang Chuan suddenly realized something. His way of looking at the world seemed to have truly begun to change. Before he only saw the surface of things. Now he was starting to see the underlying structure. Chapter 19, Simple is Stronger. One day, Liang Chuan returned to the city for a day. When he returned to the mountains, he suddenly felt it was too noisy, too much information, too many people, too many sounds. He sat down. I used to think that the more complex the better. The old man looked at him. And now? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It seems the simpler the more comfortable. The old man nodded. Many people think that the world must become more and more complex to be considered progress. But sometimes it's the opposite. When something is more natural, more simple, it's actually more stable. If a person can have less calculation, less pretense, fewer excessive thoughts, life will actually become much clearer. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. Many problems are actually made complicated by people themselves. Old man. Sometimes, truly powerful people look very ordinary because they don't need that much. Chapter 20, When you start to wake up, you'll feel a bit different from others. One day, Liang Chuan said something. Lately I've been feeling a bit strange. The old man smiled. How strange? Liang Chuan, many things that everyone cares a lot about. I don't seem to care as much anymore. For example, being more successful. Quite famous. Quite harmful. He used to care a lot. Not so strong now. Old man. This is normal. Liang Chuan asked. Old man. When a person starts to understand the world a little, his direction will be a bit different from most people's. Many people chase liveliness and fame. Fame and short-term success. But those who are a little more sober will slowly discover many things are just superficial. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. So sometimes it's a bit lonely. The old man nodded. But then he continued. But this is not a bad thing. Because this represents one thing. You start to see the world with your own eyes. Not following everyone else. The wind blew from the valley. Liang Chuan suddenly felt. But this kind of change actually made him more stable. Chapter 21, The True Way. The treasure has always been in the world. That night, the weather was very good. There were many stars. Liang Chuan suddenly asked. If the way cannot be seen, how do you know it truly exists? The old man did not answer immediately. He pointed to the river in the distance. That river has been flowing. Did you notice? Liang Chuan nodded. Spring comes. Trees sprout. Autumn arrives. Leaves fall. Things have a beginning. And an end. He paused. These patterns have always been there. It's just that many people are too busy and don't see them. The way is not a mysterious thing. It is in the operation of the world. The changes in people. The flow of time. If a person starts to understand these, they will slowly know when to move forward, when to stop. What is temporary? What is long-term? Liang Chuan looked at the night sky. Suddenly felt a wonderful feeling. He used to think the world was very. Now he starts to feel. Actually, the world has always had an order. It's just that most people don't notice. The old man said the last sentence. When you start to see the patterns, life will slowly become smoother. The night was quiet. But in Liang Chuan's heart, it became very clear. Chapter 22, Those Who Truly Go Far. The wind was strong in the mountains that day. The trees were all leaning in the same direction due to the wind. Liang Chuan watched for a while. Suddenly. Why aren't these trees blown? The old man glanced. Because they will. Liang Chuan was stunned. Old man. Many people think that being strong is to keep pushing forward. But the world doesn't work that way. Sometimes. Take a step back is actually more strategic, lower is actually more lasting. Liang Chuan thought of his past self. Wanting everything to wait. Wanting to win every argument. Old man. Those who can go far usually have a characteristic. Can adjust. But not weak. But know when to be direct. And when to yield. The old man continued. Sometimes. Those who seem to be losing win in the end. Liang Chuan was silent. Because he began to slowly see examples in reality. Those who always clashed head-on didn't last long. And those who knew how to adjust stayed in the end. The wind blew through the entire mountain forest. All the trees were swaying. But did not fall. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. This is not retreating. This is a higher way of moving forward. Chapter 23, Nature. Stronger than deliberate. This day. The sky was very blue. The wind blew in gusts. Liang Chuan asked a question. Why is it that the harder you try with some things, the less smooth they become? The old man smiled. Because you are fighting against nature. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man said. The wind doesn't always blow. The rain doesn't always fall. Many things in the world have a rhythm. But people often want to accelerate. Keep doing. Keep moving forward. When a person starts to go with the rhythm of things, things will actually go much smoother. Not laziness, but knowing when to act. And when to stop. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of his past self. Working desperately, tired every day. But the results were not necessarily good. Truly capable people act naturally. Not forcing it. Not acting desperately. Nor are they forcing themselves. But the wind slowly stopped. The entire mountain suddenly became very quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly felt. This rhythm is actually very comfortable. Chapter 24, People who want to show off too much. This day. Liang Chuan saw something in the city. Someone kept showing off their achievements. Social media constantly showcases success. But after how long? That person suddenly had a problem. When Liang Chuan returned to the mountains. Couldn't help but say. Why do so many high-profile people end up being unstable? The old man poured a cup of tea. Because they stand too hard. Liang Chuan didn't quite understand. The old man explained. If a person always wants to look taller, he will lose his balance. He paused. Truly stable people don't need to constantly prove themselves. Because power doesn't need to be displayed every day. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of something. Many truly powerful people are actually very quiet. On the contrary, those who constantly emphasize how powerful they are have great fluctuations. The old man, overexpression, is actually a kind of insecurity. And truly capable people are not in a hurry to be seen, not in a hurry to be recognized, nor in a hurry to prove themselves, but over time, everyone will naturally know. Liang Chuan looked at the mountains outside the window, suddenly felt one thing. So the feeling of a master is not dazzling, but subtle. Chapter 25, There is a power older than the world. The weather was very good. There was almost no wind outside. There was almost no wind on the mountain. Liang Chuan sat outside the tea house, looking at the continuous mountains in the distance. He suddenly asked a question. The world is so big. How did it begin? The old man did not answer immediately. After a while, before heaven and earth appeared, there was something that existed. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. What thing? The old man. It was not created by humans, nor controlled by them. But all things are connected within it. The old man slowly said. It is very quiet, but it has always existed. It does not contend, but influences everything. Liang Chuan asked. Then what is it called? The old man just smiled. We usually call it the Tao. Liang Chuan looked at the mountains in the distance. Suddenly had a very strange feeling. It seemed that the world was not chaotic. But there was a great order at work. The old man continued. If people can live according to this pattern, they will be smoother. But many people do the opposite. They fight desperately. They control desperately. They prove themselves desperately. As a result, they are very tired. Liang Xuan slowly nodded. He began to understand one thing. True strength is not necessarily controlling the world, but understanding the world. Chapter 26, The Truly Harmful Person. Very calm. This day, a group of people suddenly came to the mountain. They hurried on their way. Some were very anxious. Some kept urging. After they left, Liang Chuan asked, "Why are some people busier and busier?" The old man poured a cup of tea and said a very simple sentence. Liang Chuan watched the tea slowly stop. Old man. Heavy things. Liang Chuan didn't quite understand. The old man explained. If a person's heart is very restless, they are easily carried away by things. When news comes, they panic. When opportunities come, they rush. When pressure comes, they. But truly harmful people are different. They have a feeling. Very calm. Not slow, but steady. Old man. Truly capable people. Because they know the situation is not yet ripe. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many successful people. They have one thing in common. Not in a hurry. And they look very stable. The old man finally said. Those who can remain calm can see farther things. The wind blew through the valley. The whole tea house was quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly felt that being steadfast is a very strong power. Chapter 27, Masters at Work. Liang Chuan discovered that the old man had a characteristic when doing things. Whether it was making tea, tidying up, or talking, it was all natural. But also very. Liang Chuan couldn't help but ask, why does it seem so simple when you do things? But you almost never make mistakes. The old man smiled. Because I don't force things. Liang Chuan was stunned. Truly harmful people usually do things smoothly. Not because they are very smart, but because they see very clearly and do just enough. Not too much, not too little. The old man continued. Masters usually have a characteristic. They don't leave too many loopholes when they do things. They don't misjudge people easily. They handle things naturally. Liang Chuan asked, how is this achieved? Old man. Observe for a long time. Many people are eager to act. But masters first observe the situation. Wait until they understand. So it looks very easy. But it's actually because they have seen through it. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. He suddenly realized something. True masters don't actually change their ways to avoid harm. Instead, they spend a long time understanding the world. The wind blew through the tea house. The wind blew through the tea house. The entire valley was very quiet. But in Liang Chuan's heart, a feeling began to emerge. He was slowly approaching that realm. Chapter 28, Truly strong people are very humble. This day, a light dew formed in the mountains. Liang Chuan noticed the old man still sitting quietly outside the tea house. Looking into the distance, he asked, why do you never talk about your own harm? He asked, why do you never talk about your own harm? The old man smiled slightly, pointing to the valley. What does it mean to be truly strong and truly forced to see it? What does it mean to be truly strong and truly forced to see it? Don't you really need to be seen by others? Liang Chuan was confused. The old man is a sign of insecurity. Humility is true strength. Liang Chuan looked at the mist-shrouded peaks in the distance, suddenly understanding a little. The old man continued, sometimes, people who can be low-key and people who can remain calm are the most influential. He paused for a moment. It's not weakness. It's understanding the weight of power. Liang Chuan was silent for a while. He suddenly understood. True masters don't need to prove themselves. Their existence itself inspires respect. Chapter 29, The World is Not for Control. A few days later, Liang Chuan saw people in the city fighting fiercely over a small profit. He couldn't help but ask the old man, why do so many people have to control others? The old man slowly said, the world is not for control. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man pointed to the flowing water in front of the tea house and said, water doesn't force anything. Water doesn't force anything. It just flows. The shape of the riverbed forms naturally. It doesn't need to be controlled. He took a sip of tea. True masters don't control others, but understand the laws of the world and act in accordance with them. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. Many people think that the strong control everything, but true masters are often not in a hurry to control. Nor are they in a hurry to act. The old man added. It's much better than brute force. Liang Chuan began to understand. Control is not the only manifestation of power. The power of a master is more in guidance and influence, rather than suppression. Chapter 30. True strong people don't like to suppress others with force. A gentle breeze blew through the bamboo forest in the mountains. Liang Chuan asked a question that had been on his mind. He asked a question that had been on his mind. Those who truly cause harm, why do they seem reluctant to act? The old man smiled. Because forcefully suppressing others is a form of consumption. Liang Chuan nodded. Recalling those who fought for power and profit in the past, they seemed powerful, but were always tense. True masters don't need to suppress others with force. Their stability, wisdom and vision naturally draw people to follow them. He paused, pointing to the distance of the valley. Water doesn't wait. The valley naturally guides it. Masters are the same. Liang Chuan quietly gazed into the distance, suddenly having a feeling that a master's aura isn't achieved through showing off, nor through power, but through a natural flow. A presence as heavy as a mountain, and an encompassing aura like water. He thought about his own cultivation journey. Letting go of inner turmoil, stabilizing his perspective and maintaining clarity. Now, he seemed to be approaching the next realm. The true master's aura. The wind blew through the bamboo forest, making a rustling sound. Liang Chuan's heart was calm. He knew that this kind of strength was something honed over time, not learned, nor deliberately pursued. Chapter 31. The way masters act. One day, something happened at the foot of the mountain. The various forces in the city began to clash. The atmosphere on the entire street was tense. Liang Chuan received the news and couldn't help but ask the old man, if a street conflict truly occurs, how would a master handle it? The old man didn't answer immediately, but slowly poured a cup of tea. Only then did he say, true masters dislike street conflicts. Liang Chuan frowned. But many things seem unsolvable without conflict. The old man smiled. That's because most people only know one method. Liang Chuan was stunned. Ordinary people facing problems only think of two things. Either confront head-on or escape. But masters are different. Masters first observe the entire situation. He pointed to the mountain road in the distance. If a road is congested, what would you do? Take another road. The old man nodded. This is the master's mindset. Not to force through, but to see the whole picture. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of something. So masters rarely fight? The old man smiled. Truly harmful. Usually already inlaid things don't need to be fought. The wind blew from the mountain valley. The bamboo forest swayed gently. The old man said a very important sentence. The master's power is not when he makes a move. Liang Chuan asked, then where is it? Before things happen. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man continued. Truly harmful people will see problems in advance. He slowly added. So many conflicts, in his case, simply won't happen. Liang Chuan suddenly had a feeling. It turns out the gap between masters and ordinary people is not just ability, but the timing of seeing things. Ordinary people see things already erupting. Masters see things before they happen. The old man said at the end. Many people think masters are very strong. He took a sip of tea. In fact, masters just understand things earlier than others. Fantasy, anime, transmigration, power system, combat, exploration, cinematic, energy effects. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. That evening, he looked at the entire valley. Suddenly, for the first time, he truly understood. A master is not harmful, but clear. The wind blew through the mountains and forests. Everything was quiet, but Liang Chuan knew his vision had already begun to change. Chapter 32. True power often looks very ordinary. That morning, there had been a light rain in the mountains. The air was clean. Liang Chuan walked down the mountain with the old man. Halfway down, he suddenly asked a question. Why are some people clearly very harmful? The old man stopped, looking at the distant river. The river flowed quietly, without a sound. It also had momentum. The old man. Do you think this river is harmful? Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. It seems so. There's nothing special. The old man smiled. But the entire valley ultimately relies on it. Liang Chuan fell silent. He suddenly realized something. Many truly important things are actually not ostentatious, the old man said slowly. True power usually looks very ordinary. Liang Chuan remembered people he saw in the city before. Some people are very good at showing off. Very good at talking. Very imposing. But when things truly stabilize, it's often not those people, but rather those who are very quiet. The old man continued. The world is truly wonderful. The bigger the thing, the quieter it is. The wind blows gently over the hillside. The grass sways slowly. The old man points to the entire valley. But the entire terrain is determined by it. Water does not contend, but in the end all roads lead to it. The riverbed suddenly trembled. He began to understand something. A true master's aura is not a strong presence, but rather a natural attraction. The old man looked at him and asked, do you know why many people don't understand masters at first? Liang Chuan shook his head. The old man. Because they only see the surface. He paused and then said something very important. The power that truly influences the world is often low-key. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. So many truly capable people look like ordinary people, even inconspicuous, but over time, you will discover one thing. The entire situation slowly begins to develop in their direction. Liang Chuan stood on the hillside, looking at the city in the distance. At that moment, his vision suddenly expanded. Before he always thought, capable people must be very assertive. But now he began to understand. True masters are like the Tao. They don't wait. They slowly influence everything. The old man said at this time, as if summarizing the entire passage. Masters make things happen. The world of masters naturally becomes that way. Liang Chuan was stunned. The wind blew up from the valley. Clouds drifted slowly across the sky. At that moment, he felt he was finally beginning to see a bigger world. Not a world of competition, but a world of operation. And he was also slowly entering that level. Chapter 33. True strength is inner resilience. That night, it was very quiet in the mountains. Moonlight shone on the stones outside the tea house. Liang Chuan sat there, suddenly remembering his past self. Before he always thought, capable people must be stronger than others, win against others, prove themselves. But now, he began to doubt these things a little. He turned to the old man and asked, what exactly is considered true strength? The old man did not answer immediately. He just looked at the night sky in the distance. After a while, he asked, what do you think? If a person gets angry easily, it doesn't count as strong. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. The old man nodded. Then what if a person is easily provoked? Liang Chuan, that definitely doesn't count. The old man then said something very important. Many people appear strong, but in reality their emotions are very volatile. Liang Chuan was stunned. He recalled many people he had met before. Indeed, some people have loud voices, and their presence is imposing, but in reality they easily lose control. The old man slowly said, true strength is inner stability. The wind blew gently through the bamboo forest. The entire mountain forest was almost silent. The old man pointed to the bamboo forest. When the wind comes, the bamboo sways, but after the wind passes, it still stands there. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. Many people don't lose to others, but to their own emotions. The old man continued. Being able to understand others. He paused. Being able to understand oneself is true mastery. Liang Chuan was silent at this moment. He felt a great weight. The old man added. Many people spend their entire lives studying others, comparing who is stronger, who is more successful, who is more formidable. He shook his head. But true masters spend more time on one thing. Liang Chuan asked. What thing? The old man. Understanding oneself. Liang Chuan's heart suddenly trembled. The old man slowly added. Knowing what you are thinking. Knowing why you are angry. Knowing why you are anxious. Knowing when to act. And when not to act. He looked at Liang Chuan. This kind of person is hard to defeat. The mountain was very quiet. A faint sound of water could be heard in the distance. Liang Chuan suddenly had a feeling. He had always wanted to become stronger before. But now he began to understand. That true strength is not about defeating others, but about no longer being easily swayed by the world. The old man said one last sentence, as if summarizing this chapter. Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing oneself is strength. At that moment Liang Chuan suddenly felt his heart become very calm. He didn't understand everything, but he began to see what was truly important. The night was deep. The mountain was quiet. And he knew. I am slowly approaching the realm of true masters. Chapter 34. The great Dao's treasure has been operating all along. That morning, the fog was light. The valley looked like a painting slowly unfolding. Liang Chuan had a feeling recently. The world seemed to be operating according to some kind of law. But he wasn't sure. So he asked the old man, is there a force that is pushing many things to happen? The old man smiled. You're starting to feel it. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man said slowly, the world. The treasure is flowing all the time. He pointed to the river in the distance. Water flows from high to low. Without command. And without anyone arranging it. But everything is natural. This is how the great Dao operates. Liang Chuan frowned and thought. But many people don't seem to have noticed this. The old man nodded. Because most people only see themselves. The clouds moved slowly. The old man continued. The great Dao affects everything, but it doesn't force anyone. Liang Chuan fell silent. He suddenly remembered many things. Some successful people just went with the flow. Some failed people were always going against the current. The old man looked at the city below the mountain. Have you noticed something? Liang Chuan asked. What? The old man. Many things are not controlled, but are formed slowly. Liang Chuan suddenly understood, like the development of a city. Like the relationship between people. Like many opportunities. They are not suddenly created by someone. But many threads slowly converge. The old man continued. True masters don't feel like they are controlling the world. They just know where the world is going. Liang Chuan's heart suddenly trembled. This sentence is very different. Before he always thought that the people who led everything were the ones who drove everything. But now he began to understand. The truly influential people are actually those who follow the great Dao. The old man looked into the distance. He said a crucial sentence. The great Dao is vast. So vast you can hardly see it. Liang Chuan asked. Then how do you know it exists? The old man smiled. Look at the results. He pointed to the entire valley. The flowing water. The land. The trees. Everything seems natural. But actually has a direction. The old man. The less you force yourself, things actually went smoother. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He began to slowly understand. The Great Way is not a mysterious power, but a most natural way of operating. Following it, one would go smoothly. Always resisting it would be tiring. The wind blew again. The entire valley was very quiet. At that moment Liang Chuan suddenly had a new feeling. Before he was trying hard to understand the world. Now he began to learn. To integrate himself into the world's operation. The old man looked at him. And said lightly. When you no longer want to control everything. You actually start to walk on the right path. Liang Chuan had something to say. But he knew. He had taken another step forward. Chapter 35. The power that truly attracts. This day at noon. Some travelers came down. Some came for tea. Some came to rest. Strangely. After many people entered the tea house, they became relatively quiet. Even their voices became softer. Liang Chuan noticed this. He asked the old man in a low voice. Why is it that everyone here seems to be more relaxed? The old man smiled. Because there is a special aura here. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. People actually influence the environment. Liang Chuan was a little curious. The old man slowly. Some places make people tired. Some places make people feel at ease. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of some places in the city. Some companies feel oppressive as soon as you enter. Some people make you feel uncomfortable as soon as they approach. The old man continued. Truly skilled people have a certain ability. Liang Chuan asked, what ability? The old man. The surroundings become stable. Liang Chuan fell silent. He had never thought of this before. The old man pointed to the travelers sitting outside the tea house. Some were chatting. Some were daydreaming. Some were drinking tea. The whole scene was very natural. The old man. Have you noticed something? Liang Chuan looked at the group. Everyone seems unhurried. The old man nodded. This is influence. Liang Chuan was a little shocked. This is also considered influence? The old man smiled. True influence is not about people obeying you. He paused. And then, it's about people becoming more comfortable. Liang Chuan suddenly understood something. Many people think influence is control. Control command. Command guidance. But its treasure is not. The truly harmful person often has a kind of aura. That aura makes people around become quiet, become clear. The old man said a very important thing. The reason why the great Tao can encompass everything is because it does not confront anyone. The wind blew gently. The whole valley was quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly had a new understanding. So the strongest power. Everything became natural. At this time, a traveler suddenly. Strange. I was very anxious at first. Just sitting here made me feel much better. The old man just smiled. Liang Chuan watched this scene. He suddenly realized something. Before he had been learning how to become strong. But now he is starting to learn how to make the world smoother. At that moment, he felt like he had crossed another threshold. The aura of a true master began to slowly take shape. Chapter 36. Sometimes to get something, you have to let go first. The wind in the mountains was a bit strong. The bamboo forest rustled in the wind. Liang Chuan recently began to notice something. Many things. But he hadn't fully figured it out yet. So he asked the old man, why are some things? The more I try to do them well, the worse they get. The old man looked at the distant sky. Slowly. Because many people's way of doing things is too forceful. Liang Chuan frowned. But if you don't exert effort, how can you succeed? The old man smiled. It's not about not exerting effort. It's about not overexerting yourself. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. The old man picked up a twig from the ground and drew a line on the ground. If you keep pulling a bowstring, what will happen? The old man nodded. Many things in the world are like this. The wind gradually lessened. The bamboo forest also gradually quieted down. The old man continued. Many people don't understand a principle. Liang Chuan looked at him. To receive, you must first let go. Liang Chuan was stunned. Let go first. The old man nodded. For something to grow, sometimes you need to give it space. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. Some people desperately try to control their teams, and the teams become worse and worse. Some people want to seize opportunities too much, and the opportunities slip away. The old man. Too much haste is the source of many problems. He added. The person who truly harms everyone, understands rhythm. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He began to slowly understand that masters act, not by always pushing forward, but by knowing when to retreat. Retreat slowly. Slowly stop. The old man then said a crucial sentence. The world changes a lot. And there are always signs before things happen. Liang Chuan asked, what do you mean? The old man pointed to the clouds in the distance. Before a storm comes. Before the river rises. The current changes. He looked at Liang Chuan. Masters see these changes. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. So true ability is not just about doing things, but about seeing how things are changing. The old man continued. Many people only see the results, but masters see the process. The valley was quiet. The sun slowly set. A new feeling suddenly arose in Liang Chuan's heart. Before, when he did things, he was desperate. Now he was learning rhythm. The old man said one last sentence. True masters don't always push forward. He paused. They know when to retreat. They know when to take a step back. Liang Chuan looked up at the distant mountains. At that moment, he suddenly felt his vision broaden a little. Many things are not better just because they are faster, but rather. The wind blew through the bamboo forest again. The entire valley seemed to be breathing. And Liang Chuan began to slowly follow this rhythm. Chapter 37. Non-action. But things will naturally be accomplished. The mountain was very quiet. There was no wind. The entire valley seemed to be in a very stable state. Liang Chuan had been thinking about something recently. He noticed that the old man often seemed to do nothing. But many things gradually improved. More and more people came to the tea house. The atmosphere became more peaceful. Even some people who were originally very impatient changed after visiting once. Liang Chuan finally couldn't help but ask. You didn't really do anything special, did you? The old man looked at him. You're starting to see. Liang Chuan was even more confused. But things really got better. The old man slowly said. There is a way of doing things. That looks like doing nothing. Liang Chuan frowned. Is that still considered doing things? The old man replied, yes. And it's the highest kind. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man picked up the teapot. Slowly poured tea. The tea flowed very steadily. Many people do things by constantly adding things. More commands. More control. More rules. More intervention. Liang Chuan nodded. This is very common. The old man continued. Things will. Precisely because too much was added. Liang Chuan suddenly stopped. This sentence was very heavy. The old man looked at the distant mountains and forests. True masters sometimes just remove the excess. Liang Chuan was silent. When intervention is reduced, things will naturally return to the right track. At this time, a light breeze blew through the valley. The bamboo leaves swayed slightly. The whole scene was very natural. The old man said the most core sentence of the chapter. A true master doesn't make things complicated. He paused. But makes things return to their original state. Liang Chuan suddenly understood a little. Some teams become more chaotic the more they are managed. Some places become more out of control the more rules they have. Some relationships become more strained the harder you try. Always adding. The great Tao has always been operating. As long as you don't constantly interfere with it. Liang Chuan suddenly remembered many recent events. He seemed to be slowly understanding. A master doesn't do nothing, but only takes the truly necessary step. The rest. The old man looked at him. Do you think the wind needs to try hard to blow? Liang Chuan shook his head. Does the river need to try hard to flow? Liang Chuan doesn't need to either. The old man nodded. True power is like this. At that moment, Liang Chuan suddenly had a deep feeling. Before, he always thought growth was learn more, do more, strive more. But now he began to discover another path. Sometimes growth is actually doing less, seeing more clearly, interfering less. Things will become smoother instead. The old man said one last sentence. When a person stops taking action, they truly begin to influence the world. The valley was very quiet. The sound of flowing water came from afar. Liang Chuan sat there for a long time. He felt one thing. He had slowly entered a new stage. Not a stage of desperate struggle, but a stage of acting in accordance with the great Tao. Chapter 38. True goodness is not deliberately displayed. Chasing the sky in the morning, an official descended. An official came down from the mountain. He brought a follower. He looked very busy. As soon as he entered the tea house, he started to say, people must have morals. Must follow the rules. Everyone must do well. He spoke a lot. His voice was also loud. Many travelers just nodded. Didn't say much. Liang Chuan silently watched all this. Liang Chuan silently watched everywhere. After that group of people left, he asked the old man. He looked very upright. The old man smiled. Didn't answer immediately. After a while, he asked, do you think he was really natural? Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. He recalled the appearance of the person just now. It seemed a bit forced. The old man slowly. True virtue is actually very quiet. Liang Chuan watched. The old man continued. Many people keep emphasizing how good they are. Usually because they are not confident inside. Liang Chuan suddenly fell silent. This sentence is very deep. The old man looked at the distant valley. Truly virtuous people often don't keep saying they are virtuous. Liang Chuan began to slowly understand. Some people keep emphasizing that they are righteous, that they are kind, that they are harmless. But the people truly trusted are usually not like that. Old man. When a person is truly stable, he doesn't need to perform. The wind blew the flag outside the tea house. The whole scene was very calm. The old man continued. True goodness is a natural outflow. Liang Chuan nodded. He suddenly thought of the old man himself. The old man never said how harmful he was. But many people who come here slowly become calm. The old man then said the most core sentence of the whole chapter. The closer one gets to the great way, the less they seem to be performing anything. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. So true masters look like ordinary people instead. But over time, you will find many things naturally get better around them. The old man finally said. When a person starts to deliberately do things for others to see. He paused. He is already a little far from the great way. Liang Chuan sat there for a long time. He felt he understood another layer. Not superficial kindness, but true natural kindness. The valley was very quiet. Clouds drifted slowly by. And Liang Chuan's aura also unknowingly became more and more stable. Chapter 39. The truly stable person. The entire situation changed. This day, the sky in the mountains is very clear. The clouds in the distance are slowly drifting. Liang Chuan recently discovered something. Some people who have been to the tea house started to actively chat with him. It's not because he talks a lot, but because he looks very stable. This noon, a young man walked into the tea house. He looked a bit anxious. After sitting down, he couldn't help but say, nothing I do lately goes smoothly. Liang Chuan didn't answer immediately. Just stayed quiet. The young man continued. Things are going wrong one after another. The more I try to control, the more. At this point, he looked at Liang Chuan. You look very stable. How do you do it? Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. Actually not long ago, he was the same as this person. At this time, an old man sat aside drinking tea, without interrupting, as if letting Liang Chuan answer himself. Liang Chuan thought for a moment, and slowly said, I used to be very anxious too. The young man was stunned for a moment. Really? Liang Chuan nodded. Later I discovered something. He paused. Many things happen because we try too hard to grasp them. The young man was engrossed. Liang Chuan pointed to the distant mountain. Look at that mountain. It doesn't do anything. But the entire terrain has changed because of it. The young man looked over and was speechless for a moment. Liang Chuan continued. It's the same. If a person is very stable, many things will slowly stabilize. The young man frowned and thought. The old man chuckled lightly, and then added, if heaven and earth are not stable. Liang Chuan looked at the old man. The old man slowly said, the true operation of the great Tao is a kind of stable stillness. The wind blew through the valley. The bamboo forest made a very light sound. The old man said, the sky is stable, and the climate will be normal. The earth is stable, and all things will grow. The human heart is stable, and things will go smoothly. That young man suddenly quieted down, as if he had come to such a place for the first time. Liang Chuan also suddenly understood something at this moment. Before he thought the power of a master was to change the world. But now he began to understand. True masters. The world is not chaotic. The old man looked at Liang Chuan, as if observing his changes. Then he said a very important sentence. When a person's inner stability reaches a certain level, wherever he goes, the situation will slowly change. Liang Chuan's heart suddenly trembled. This sentence. He only understood half of it before. He began to slowly understand. The young man took a deep breath at this time. It seems like he let go a little. I think I understand a little. Liang Chuan smiled. Didn't say much. The wind blew through the valley again. The whole tea house was very quiet. But one thing began to happen slowly. Liang Chuan was no longer just a learner. He began to become someone who could influence the situation. This is the true power of a master. Chapter 40. True powerful strength is actually returning. That evening, the wind rose in the mountains. The clouds began to move back slowly. Liang Chuan stood outside the tea house. Looking at the mountain road in the distance, he had a strange feeling recently. Many things don't seem to be always moving forward. He thought for a long time. Still not quite sure. The next day he asked the old man, is the world actually always cycling? The old man looked into the distance. Nodded. You are starting to see something very important. Liang Chuan asked, what is it? The old man. The true great way is not always moving forward. He paused. But it will return. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man pointed to the sky. Day will turn into night. A full moon will become a waning moon. Autumn will come after spring. Liang Chuan nodded. These things are natural. But he had never thought about them before. The old man continued. Many people do things. Only know to move forward. Only to grow. Only to expand. He shook his head. But the true operation of the world is not like this. Liang Chuan began to slowly understand. The old man. When one becomes strong to a certain extent, they will begin to return. The wind slowly grew stronger. The bamboo forest swayed. The old man pointed to the bamboo forest. When the wind blows strongest, it will weaken the next moment. Liang Chuan suddenly understood a little. It turns out that many changes are actually hidden in the process. The old man continued. True masters understand this matter. Liang Chuan asked. Understand what? Old man. When to move forward. When to come back. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly thought of many things from the past. Some people after success, instead they start to fail. Some companies become very large. Slowly lose direction. Some people try harder. Instead they get more tired. Perhaps it is because don't know how to come back. The old man said a crucial sentence at this time. The strongest power in the world is actually very simple. Liang Chuan looked at him. Old man, return to the essence. The valley was very quiet. The sun slowly set. Liang Chuan suddenly had a very clear feeling in his heart. The reason why many things become chaotic is because they are too far from their original state. And truly wise people will at the appropriate time return to the beginning. The old man said a final sentence. When a person knows how to come back. He paused. They will not easily get lost. Liang Chuan looked at the distant mountains. The wind slowly stopped. At that moment, he suddenly understood. Growth is not just about moving forward. Sometimes more important is returning to one's true self. And this, perhaps, is the deepest power of the Great Way. Chapter 41. Those who understand the Great Way seem strange instead. That night, Liang Chuan was walking on the mountain road. He suddenly remembered something. So he asked the teacher, why are some very wise people seem very ordinary instead? The old man smiled. Because you only see the surface. Liang Chuan asked, what do you mean? The old man slowly said, actually Lao Tzu already said this. Then he recited a sentence. Diligently practice it. The middle man hears the way. Seems to exist and yet not. The lower man hears the way. Laughs at it. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. What does this mean? The meaning is very simple. People of different levels understand the same principle. Their reactions are completely different. The first type of person, the master, old man, truly enlightened people understand the great way. They will immediately practice it. Because they know the number, 26. Pursuit is a rare wisdom. The second type of person, ordinary enlightened people, old man. The second type of person will be half believing, half doubting. They will think it makes sense, but it also feels unrealistic. So, 1 day passed and I forgot about it. The third type of person, the most common type of person. The old man smiled. The third type of person would laugh heartily. Liang Chuan also smiled. Why? Because the great way is usually very simple to understand. But humans are accustomed to overcomplicating things. So when someone says, don't fight, have fewer desires, go with the flow, many people will feel, how is this possible? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It seems to be true. Many people will think, the world is about competition. If you don't strive, how can you live? The old man nodded. So Lao Tzu said something very interesting. If you don't laugh, it's not worth talking about the great way. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man smiled. If everyone finds it easy to understand, then it's not the great way. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. For example, truly wise people are actually very low-key. Truly capable people are actually very quiet. And many high-profile people are actually just trying to be seen. The old man said something at this moment. There is a very strange phenomenon in the world. Liang Chuan asked. The truly skilled ones look like ordinary people. The truly ordinary people try desperately to look formidable. Liang Chuan fell silent. He pondered this sentence for a long time. The old man finally said, so in the future when you see someone, don't just look at how strong they appear. How strong they appear? Liang Chuan asked. Then what should I look at? The old man replied. See how quiet they are. The night was deep. The mountain wind blew gently. Liang Chuan suddenly had a wonderful feeling. Perhaps truly formidable people don't need everyone to know, because they already know themselves. Chapter 42. The Tao gives birth to the three which gives birth to all things. That morning, the air in the mountains was heavy. The dew in the mountains was heavy. Liang Chuan and his teacher sat by the stream. Water flowed slowly over the stones. Liang Chuan watched the water and suddenly asked, you said before that the great way is the root of everything. Then how did the world begin? The old man smiled. You finally asked a very important question. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man nodded. This chapter is actually about the universe. Actually, it's about the universe N. Then he slowly uttered a sentence. Tao gives birth. 3 gives birth to all things. Liang Chuan frowned. This sentence seems very profound. The old man smiled. Its treasure is so difficult. First layer, Tao gives birth to 1. The old man picked up a stone. Before all things appeared, there existed a kind of thing. Liang Chuan asked, what? The laws of nature's operation. This is Tao Tao. The old man continued. When the laws begin to operate, the first state will appear. That is, can be understood as the primordial existence of the universe. Second, 1 gives birth to 2. Second layer, the old man pointed to the sky. When the world begins to operate, a kind of power will appear. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. The old man said, light and dark, heat and cold, movement and stillness. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. The old man nodded. Third layer, 2 gives birth to 3. Liang Chuan asked again, then what is 3? The old man picked up a stone. Put it on the ground. Then put another one on top. When the 2 kinds of power interact, a third kind of thing will be produced. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man smiled. For example, a man and woman, will produce a child, will produce a child, will produce the changes of life. Fourth layer, 3 gives birth to all things. The old man looked at the entire mountain forest. The world will become more and more complex. Thus, trees, rivers wind, Wind animals, humans. All appear. This is all things. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly felt that the scope of this sentence was very large. The entire universe seems to be summarized in one sentence. The old man then added another sentence. All things carry yin and embrace yang, and breathe qi to achieve harmony. Liang Chuan asked, what does this mean? The old man pointed to the flowing water. Inside all things, there are actually two kinds of power. For example, people have rationality and emotion. The world has daytime and nighttime. And true balance is the harmony between the two. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. Many people. Too desperate. Too extreme. Too much effort. The result is actually unbalanced. The old man nodded. The most stable state in the world is not a single force, but balance. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, then why do so many people like to fight? The old man smiled. Then he recited the last sentence. What people hate is loneliness. But kings and dukes consider themselves. Liang Chuan was even more confused. What does this mean? Old man. Many people seem weak. Like, lonely. Loneliness lacks deficiency. Insufficient. But ancient kings, instead they used these to call themselves. For example, lonely person, lonely and widowed. Liang Chuan was stunned. Old man. Because true leaders know one thing. He paused. Too full will break. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. If a person is too strong, too full, too proud, the world will start to rebound. So truly wise people will leave some space. Wind blows through the valley. Water continues to flow forward. Liang Chuan suddenly felt the world become very clear. Many things are actually just balance. Chapter 43. The strongest force in the world. Its treasure looks the weakest. That afternoon, the valley was very quiet. Liang Chuan and his teacher sat by the stream, watching the water slowly flow over the stones. Liang Chuan suddenly. I discovered something. The old man asked, what is it? Liang Chuan pointed to the stream. The water looks very weak, but it actually managed to round the stones. The old man smiled. You have already understood half of this chapter. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. Which chapter? The old man slowly recited a sentence. The softest in the world. Liang Chuan frowned. This sentence seems to be about water. The old man nodded. It means the softest thing in the world can penetrate the hardest thing. Liang Chuan looked at the stream. The water looks powerless. But after 10 years, the stones will be worn away. Mountains will be cut open. The first to understand. Softness does not mean weakness. The old man picked up a stone and put his hand in the water. The stone is hard, but it cannot change. Water is soft, but it can change shape. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. Soft. Its treasure is adaptability. Water rusts past rocks. It flows down when it encounters low ground. It slowly erodes when it encounters obstacles. So in the end water wins. The second sentence. The old man recited another sentence. There is no entry into the void. Liang Chuan was even more confused. What does this mean? Old man. Things with color often get stuck. But things without shape can enter anywhere. For example, air, water, light. They seem to be able to go anywhere. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of something. So the strongest power is not necessarily head-on confrontation. The old man nodded. Many truly powerful forces are Shen too. The third sentence. The old man finally said, I know that inaction is beneficial. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? Old man. Many people think that only by working hard can they have power. But sometimes. He paused. Not forcing it. Instead it has more power. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It seems that many things are indeed like this. For example, if two people argue, the more you resist, the bigger the problem gets. But if you are calm, the conflict will slowly disappear. The old man watched the water flow and then said a sentence. Many truly powerful people in the world understand this principle. What principle? Old man, truly strong people don't necessarily look strong. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He began to recall many things. Some people are very high profile, love to prove themselves. But many truly powerful people speak slowly, act steadily, and don't compete. Always go the furthest. The old man finally said, so this chapter is actually talking about a very important. Liang Chuan asked, what principle? The old man looked at the stream. Slowly, gentleness is often the strongest power. Chapter 44. Is fame important? Or is life important? That evening, Liang Chuan and his teacher were walking on a mountain road. A city could be seen in the distance below the mountain. Lights in the city began to turn on. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, Teacher, why do people like to pursue fame so much? The old man did not answer immediately. Instead he asked, do you think fame is important? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. If there is no fame, it seems there is status. Without status, there is influence. The old man nodded. Then he recited a passage. Familiarity with name and body. Familiarity with body and goods. Familiarity with gain and loss of life. Liang Chuan frowned. What do these three sentences mean? The old man slowly explained. The first question. Familiarity with name and body. The old man asked, reputation. And your life. Which one is more important? Liang Chuan thought without thinking. Of course it's life. The old man smiled. Many people say so. But do the opposite in life. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man, some people for the sake of reputation overwork, compete desperately, dare not rest, and finally their bodies fail. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly thought of many people. The second question. Familiarity with body and goods. The old man asked again, life and wealth. Which one is more important? Liang Chuan, of course it's life. The old man smiled again. But many people for the sake of wealth sacrifice health, family, and life, and in the end life is only work. The third question. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? The old man, gaining a lot and losing a lot. Which is more painful? Liang Chuan thought for a long time. He suddenly said, actually the most painful thing is always fearing loss. The old man nodded. You finally understand. Then the old man recited the next few sentences. Much hoarding leads to great loss. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? The old man, if you are too attached to something, you will definitely pay a heavy price for it. For example, being too concerned with face, power, or wealth often leads to losing even more in the end. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many stories. Some people dedicate their lives to status and end up very lonely in their old age. The old man finally recited the most important sentence in this chapter. Contentment brings no disgrace. Knowing when to stop prevents peril, and can last long. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? The old man, knowing contentment prevents humiliation. Knowing when to stop prevents falling into danger. He looked at the distant city and said slowly, many people's life problems are not due to lack of ability. Liang Chuan asked, then what is it? The old man, not knowing when to stop. Liang Chuan suddenly understood a little. Many tragedies in the world are not actually due to failure, but because of never being satisfied. The distant city became brighter and brighter. The old man finally said one last sentence. True wisdom in life is not about gaining a lot. Liang Chuan asked, then what is it? The old man looked at the sky and said softly, it is knowing when to stop. Chapter 45. True perfection looks imperfect at first glance. That morning, the valley was shrouded in mist. Liang Chuan and his teacher watched the sunrise on the hillside. Liang Chuan suddenly said, Teacher, I recently discovered something. The old man asked, what is it? Liang Chuan, many truly capable people seem very ordinary. The old man smiled. Very good. You are already close to the meaning of this chapter. Then he recited a sentence. Great fullness appears incomplete. Its use is inexhaustible. Liang Chuan was stunned. What does this sentence mean? The old man, true perfection looks like it has a gap, but its power will never be depleted. Liang Chuan didn't quite understand. The old man picked up a bowl If a bowl is filled with water, can it hold more? Liang Chuan, no. The old man, but if the bowl always leaves a little empty, it can always be used. Liang Chuan suddenly understood a little. The old man recited another sentence. Great abundance appears empty, its use is unending. Liang Chuan asked, what about this sentence? The old man, true abundance looks like emptiness. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man pointed to the sky. The sky looks empty, but it can contain everything. Then the old man recited 3 very famous sentences. Great straightness appears bent, great skill appears clumsy, great eloquence appears silent. Liang Chuan, I think I've heard them. The old man nodded. Then he explained them one by one. Great straightness appears bent. Truly upright people seem gentle instead. They don't try to prove themselves everywhere. Great skill appears clumsy, truly capable people seem clumsy instead, because they don't show off their skills. Great eloquence appears silent, truly eloquent people seem quiet instead, because they know when to speak. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly thought of many people. Some people love to show off, love to prove themselves, love to argue. But truly capable people are very low-key instead. The old man finally said, many things in the world have a common characteristic. Liang Chuan asked, what? The old man, the more advanced something is, the more ordinary it looks. Liang Chuan looked at the valley. The sun slowly rose. The mist slowly dispersed. He suddenly felt many things he couldn't understand before seemed to be slowly becoming clear. Chapter 46. The greatest gift is never being satisfied. That day, Liang Chuan and his teacher walked to a field. A farmer was plowing the land. The ox slowly pulled the plow. The entire field was very quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly said, Teacher, I discovered something. The old man asked, what? Liang Chuan, the more successful some people are, the more anxious they seem. The old man nodded. Then he recited the first sentence of this chapter. When the world is in order, horses are used for manure. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? Old man, if the world operates on the right path, horses will not be used for war, but will be used to transport fertilizer. Plowing fields. Liang Chuan looked at the ox in the field. Suddenly understood. This sentence actually means, in a peaceful society, strength is used for construction. The old man continued to recite the next sentence. When the world is in chaos, war horses are bred outside the city. Liang Chuan frowned. The old man explained, if the world is not in order, war horses will breed outside the city. Meaning, the war is getting more and more. Liang Chuan nodded. He began to understand the first level of this chapter. When the world is in chaos, strength is used for destruction. When the world is in order, strength is used for construction. But the old man, what's truly important is what comes next. Then he recited a very famous sentence. There is no greater blessing than not knowing contentment. Liang Chuan was stunned. Old man, the greatest blessing in the world is not, but not knowing contentment. Liang Chuan was silent. This sentence is very simple, but very important. The old man recited another sentence. There is no greater fault than desiring to obtain. Liang Chuan asked, what about this sentence? Old man, the greatest fault is to desire to obtain too much. It's not bad to want something, but to want endlessly. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of many things. Many people already have a lot of wealth and success, are still anxious, because they always think, I don't have enough yet. The old man finally recited the most important sentence of this chapter. Therefore know contentment and you will always be content. Liang Chuan asked, what is this sentence? Old man, if you know what contentment is, you will always feel content. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. This sounds a bit like a password. The old man smiled. But its meaning is very simple. Then he asked Liang Chuan, if a person has 1 million, but he feels it's not enough, will he be happy? Liang Chuan said, no. Liang Chuan, no. The old man asked again, if a person has 100,000, but he feels it's already very good, will he be happy? Liang Chuan nodded. The old man said, so happiness does not come from how much you have, but how much you feel is enough. The wind blew across the fields. The farmer was still slowly plowing the land. Liang Chuan suddenly felt that farmer looked very peaceful. Even more peaceful than many people in the city. The old man finally said one last sentence. A person's life has only two paths. Liang Chuan asked, which two paths? The old man said, the first path, always pursue more. The second path, know what is enough. Liang Chuan asked, which path is happier? The old man did not answer. Just looked at the distant fields. Chapter 47. Do not go out. I can also know the world. That night, Liang Chuan and the teacher sat on the mountaintop. Distant lights of many villages could be seen. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, Teacher, if a person stays in the mountains all the time, will he know nothing? The old man did not answer immediately, but looked at the night sky, then recited a sentence. Without going out. Know the world. Liang Chuan was stunned. Know the world without leaving home. How is that possible? The old man smiled. Do you think a person needs to travel everywhere to understand the world? Liang Chuan, of course, otherwise how would I know what the world is like? The old man countered. He just asked, if a person travels all over the world, but he doesn't understand human nature. Does he really understand the world? Liang Chuan fell silent. The old man recited another sentence. Without peeking. See the way of heaven. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? The old man, you don't need to open the window to look outside. You can also understand the operation of heaven and earth. Liang Chuan was even more confused. How to do it? The old man picked up a fallen leaf. If you understand a leaf, you will know the 4 seasons. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man said again, if you understand a person, you will understand many people. Liang Chuan began to understand slowly. The old man continued to recite the next sentence. The further you go, the less you know. Liang Chuan, this sentence seems to be saying. Liang Chuan said, this sentence seems to be. The old man nodded. Many people travel farther and farther, but understand the world less and less, because they only look at the surface, and don't see the patterns. Finally the old man recited the most important sentence in this chapter. Therefore the sage knows without going, sees without looking, accomplishes without acting. Liang Chuan asked, what does it mean? The old man, those who truly understand the world, don't necessarily travel everywhere, but they can understand the patterns. Don't necessarily see everything, but they can see through the essence. Don't necessarily do everything, but things are naturally completed. Liang Chuan looked at the distant lights. Suddenly understood something. Many people still feel lost after seeing many things in many places, while some people just observe quietly and understand the world. The old man said one last sentence. The world has many changes, but few patterns. Liang Chuan asked, what does it mean? The old man, if you understand the patterns, you will understand the world. Chapter 48. Learning is adding. Cultivation is reducing. That morning, the valley had just rained. The air was very fresh. Liang Chuan and the teacher sat under an old tree. Liang Chuan suddenly said, Teacher, I've read a lot of books recently. The old man asked, what have you learned? The old man asked, what did you learn? Liang Chuan, a lot of knowledge. The old man nodded. Then he recited a sentence, learning benefits. Liang Chuan said, I understand this sentence. Learning is to increase every day. Old man, yes, reading. Acquiring knowledge is all about increasing. Liang Chuan nodded. This is very normal. But the old man continued to recite the next sentence. To the way loss is gained. Liang Chuan was stunned. Cultivating the way is about reducing. The old man smiled. Many people think wisdom is about increasing, but true wisdom is about reducing. Liang Chuan was even more confused. Reducing what? The old man raised his hand and pointed to the valley. Reducing superfluous things. Then the old man slowly said, reduce the heart, reduce anxiety, reduce attachment, reduce unnecessary desires. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly felt that these things were indeed too many. The old man recited another sentence. Loss upon loss, until there is non-action. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? Old man, keep reducing until the end. The heart becomes very simple and things will naturally go smoothly. Liang Chuan was a little. The old man pointed to the river. Water has no plan, but it always flows to the sea. Finally the old man recited a sentence. A very important sentence. Non-action yet nothing is not done. Liang Chuan asked, I often hear this sentence. Old man, many people misunderstand. Non-action does not mean doing nothing but rather not doing superfluous things. When people do not interfere randomly, things become smoother instead. Liang Chuan thought for a long time. He suddenly realized something. The more people try, the more chaotic their lives become. Because they do too much, think too much, control too much. The old man finally said one last sentence. Life is actually very simple. Liang Chuan asked, then why do so many people live so tired? The old man smiled. Then, because they are always increasing and rarely reducing. Chapter 49. The sage has no fixed mind. That evening Liang Chuan and his teacher walked into a small village. There were many people in the village. Some were arguing, some were laughing, some were busy doing business. Liang Chuan watched for a while. Then, teacher, people are really complicated. The old man smiled. Then he recited a sentence. The sage has no constant mind. Liang Chuan asked, what does this sentence mean? Old man, a true sage has no fixed mind. Liang Chuan was stunned. No own thoughts? The old man shook his head. Not that they have no thoughts but that they are not trapped by their own thoughts. The old man continued to recite the next sentence, taking the people's heart as the heart. Liang Chuan asked, what about this sentence? Old man, the sage understands everyone's heart not just standing from their own perspective, but can see the thoughts of different people. Liang Chuan, this is very difficult. The old man nodded. So the sage is rarely. Then the old man recited the next sentence. The good I treat as good. The wicked I also treat with kindness. Liang Chuan, this sentence means, old man, for good people, I use kindness. For bad people, I also use kindness. Liang Chuan is a little. Why? Old man, because kindness can change people. The old man recited the next line. The faithful I also trust. The unfaithful I also trust. Liang Chuan asked, this sentence is the same. The old man nodded. For trustworthy people. For untrustworthy people, I also give trust. Liang Chuan, but isn't this very easy to be deceived? The old man smiled. Perhaps. But if the world had trust, what would the world become? Liang Chuan was silent. Finally the old man recited the last sentence of this chapter. The sage in the world is gentle and kind, and embraces all things with his heart. Liang Chuan asked, this sentence is so difficult. The old man said, the sage in the world will have his heart become very gentle, to embrace everyone's differences. Liang Chuan looked at the people in the village. Suddenly felt, everyone has their own story, their own difficulties, their own choices. The old man said one last sentence. True wisdom is not just understanding oneself. Liang Chuan asked, what is it? Old man, it is understanding everyone. Chapter 50. Those who are not afraid of death are actually the safest. One day, Liang Chuan asked the old man, why are some people always unlucky? The old man did not answer. He just asked, how many people do you think are truly alive in the world? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. Old man, about 30%. Liang Chuan was stunned. Old man continued, another 30%. Are slowly walking towards death and another 30%. Are desperately pushing themselves into danger. Liang Chuan frowned, why? The old man said a simple sentence, because they are too afraid of death. Liang Chuan didn't understand. Old man, many people desperately pursue safety, desperately fight for territory, desperately control everything. But the result is, the more people pursue safety, the more anxious they become. The old man picked up a fallen leaf. He said, those who truly know how to live are actually very simple. They do not covet excessively, do not take excessive risks, do not push themselves to extremes. Therefore they are not easily encountered with danger, are not easily drawn into disputes, are not easily dragged down by desire. The old man smiled, the ancients, those who truly understood how to nourish life, would not encounter fierce beasts in the wilderness, would not be wounded by weapons in the battlefield. Liang Chuan, are there really such people? The old man nodded, but the reason is not that they are very strong, but they do not put themselves in danger. The old man said one last sentence, many people are not killed by the world, but are pushed to a dead end by their own desires. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly understood one thing. True safety is not ironclad status. True safety is not letting oneself be led by desire. Chapter 51. True security is not letting yourself be led by desire. Chapter 51. The greatest power in the world. That day, Liang Chuan asked the old man, how was the world formed? The old man, the Tao began it. Liang Chuan asked again, then how do all things grow? The old man replied, by virtue. Liang Chuan frowned. What's the difference between Tao and virtue? The old man smiled. He drew a tree on the ground. He said, Tao is like the earth. Virtue is like nutrients. The old man continued, Tao gives birth to all things, virtue makes all things grow. Liang Chuan asked, then who controls all this? The old man shook his head. No one controls it, this is nature. The old man, look at a tree. It grows, it blooms, it bears fruit. But everything is happening. Liang Chuan asked, then what are truly great people like? The old man thought for a moment. He said, like the earth. Liang Chuan didn't understand. The old man, the earth nourishes all things, but the earth doesn't say, these are all mine. The old man continued, true virtue has 3 characteristics. It gives birth but does not possess. It acts but does not rely on its achievements. It works but does not depend on results. It leads but does not control. It influences many people but does not control them. The old man finally said, this is the highest virtue and the deepest power. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly understood. Many people in the world want to control others, dominate the world and prove themselves, but truly great people are like the earth. They silently help everything grow. Chapter 52. Finding the root of the world. That evening, Liang Chuan and the old man walked on a mountain path. Smoke began to rise from the distant village. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, Teacher, why did the world become like this? The old man did not answer directly. He pointed to a large tree in the distance. He asked, do you see that tree? Liang Chuan nodded. The old man, if you only look at the leaves, you will think this tree is very complicated. Liang Chuan, because there are many branches and leaves. The old man nodded. But if you find its roots, everything will be simple. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man continued, the world is the same. There are many people, many things, many changes, but in essence they all have one root. Liang Chuan asked, what is that root? The old man said one word, Tao. The old man, all things have a mother. Just like all children have mothers. Liang Chuan asked, what is the mother of the world? The old man, Tao. The old man continued, if you only look at the surface of things, you will be confused by the world. Interpersonal relationships, power struggles, competition, success and failure, but if you look at the root you will know, everything is actually in the operation of the Tao. Liang Chuan asked, then how can I find this root? The old man, it's very simple. Reduce your desires. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man, people's problem is not that they can't see the world, but that they have too many desires. When desires are many, eyes cannot see clearly and the heart is not stable. The old man stopped. He said an important sentence, close your mouth. Close your desires. Your life will be very safe. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man said again, but if you keep pursuing external things, fame, wealth, power, you will be very tired your whole life. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, then what are truly enlightened people like? The old man smiled. The person who can see the small things. Liang Chuan didn't understand. Old man, those who can see the subtle things are truly bright. Those who can protect the weak are truly strong. The old man finally said, remember one thing. Return to the root, and you won't get lost. Liang Chuan looked up at the large tree. Suddenly he understood. There are many leaves and many branches, but the whole tree has only one source. The root. Chapter 53. Knowing the right path. Why not take it? That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked into a city. This was the largest town they had seen in a long time. Shops lined the streets, merchants bustled. Liang Chuan found it novel. But the old man just walked quietly. After walking for a while, Liang Chuan suddenly asked, Teacher, if there is a Tao in the world, is there a most correct path? The old man nodded. Liang Chuan asked again, then why do so many people not take that path? The old man smiled. Because that path is too simple. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued, many people dislike simplicity. He pointed to a luxurious mansion in the street. The gate was tall. The decorations were magnificent. And people were busy coming and going. The old man said, many people like things that appear to be powerful. He then pointed to the fields in the distance. A farmer was slowly plowing the land. His clothes were plain. And his life was simple. The old man said, but the true Tao is actually like them. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. Then he said, but the people in the city seem more successful. The old man smiled. On the surface, yes. The old man said, when a place begins to show these things, clothes become more ornate, houses become more luxurious, weapons become more numerous, food is wasted. It usually means that the place is beginning to deviate from the true path. Liang Chuan frowned. The old man explained, because people begin to pursue appearance instead of inner substance. The old man said a very heavy sentence. The granaries are empty, but people wear luxurious clothes. The fields are barren, but the banquets are lavish. Liang Chuan asked, why? The old man replied, theft. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued, not all thieves carry knives. Some people squander resources, waste wealth, pursue luxury, disregarding the lives of the common people. This is also a form of theft. Liang Chuan looked at the bustling streets of the city. Suddenly he felt something was strange. The appearance was very lively, but something seemed to be missing. The old man finally said, the true Tao is actually very simple. But people always like to take detours. Chapter 54. Truly solid things. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man left the town and entered a quiet valley. There was a small village in the valley. The house is very simple. People are farming. Life looks very ordinary. Liang Chuan watched for a while. Said, teacher, this village seems very peaceful. The old man nodded. The old man suddenly asked, what do you think is the most stable thing? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. The old man shook his head. The old man picked up a small blade of grass. The truly stable things are those that grow slowly. Liang Chuan didn't understand. The old man, if a tree's roots are deep, no matter how strong the wind, it won't fall. But if it's only tall on the surface, it will fall quickly. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of the luxurious mansions in the city. They look magnificent on the outside, but he always felt a sense of unease. The old man said, the human world is the same. Truly stable things all follow a sequence. He slowly said, the first step is to stabilize oneself. The second step is to stabilize the family. The third step is to govern the country, benefiting more people. The fourth step is to influence the entire world. Liang Chuan asked, why start with oneself? The old man smiled. Because there are roots. Without roots a tree cannot grow. The old man, if a person cannot even manage themselves and wants to manage their family, city or country, it's like a tree without roots. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly understood something. Many people want to change the world and criticize others for changing society, but rarely ask themselves, am I stable? The old man finally said, truly stable things must grow from within. They must grow from within. Liang Chuan looked up at the valley. Suddenly he felt that this world had a simple principle. All truly long-lasting things do not appear suddenly. Instead they grow slowly. Chapter 55, closest to the Tao. Like a child. That morning, there was a thin layer of dew in the valley. Liang Chuan and the old man sat under a large tree. Not far away, a group of children were playing. Some were chasing each other. Some were drawing on the ground. Laughter echoed in the valley. Liang Chuan watched for a while. Suddenly, teacher. Children seem to never get tired. The old man smiled. Have you noticed something? Liang Chuan asked, what? The old man, children rarely overthink things. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man continued, they don't care about fame. They don't care about status. Nor do they care what others think. Liang Chuan looked at the children. They simply ran. As if the whole world was simple. The old man, those closest to the Tao, are actually like children. Liang Chuan was a little. The old man picked up a leaf. Slowly, because children haven't been changed too much by the world. They are not complicated. Don't calculate, don't pretend. The old man again, look at those children. They fall down. They get up quickly. Liang Chuan nodded. Indeed. The old man said, but adults after falling down often start to be afraid. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly thought of many things. Childhood, brave, direct, happy. Adulthood, start calculating, start scheming, start comparing. The old man, people's vitality, is often not defeated by the world, but by their own complexity. The old man said his last sentence, when a person returns to simplicity, their strength will actually return. Liang Chuan looked at the running children. Suddenly understood one thing. Many people think maturity is becoming complicated. But true maturity might be becoming simple again. Chapter 56. Those who truly understand will not always talk. That evening, Liang Chuan and the old man walked along a mountain path. There was a tea house by the roadside. The tea house was lively. Several people were gathered around. In the middle was a person in a long robe. He was speaking loudly. That person, I have studied the way of heaven and earth for 30 years. The principles of all things in the world, I know them all. The people around listened intently, nodding. Some even applauded. Liang Chuan also listened. That person spoke fluently. Many words sounded profound. Liang Chuan couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Teacher, does he really know a lot?" The old man just smiled. After drinking tea, walked out of the tea house. Liang Chuan asked again, "Teacher, do people who truly understand the way also speak like this?" The old man stopped, looked at the distant mountains, then said a very simple sentence. "Those who truly understand rarely talk all the time." Liang Chuan was stunned. Why? The old man, because he knows that many things, if you try too hard, will become wrong. The old man picked up a stone, threw it into the nearby stream. Circles of ripples appeared on the water surface. The old man, the way is like this water. The more you try to grasp it, the less you can hold on to it. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man again, those who truly understand will slowly become like this. Not showing off, not eager to prove themselves. Liang Chuan asked, then what kind of person likes to talk the most? The old man smiled. Those who haven't truly understood. Liang Chuan suddenly remembered the person in the tea house. He said a lot, but somehow something was missing. The old man finally said, those who truly understand the way will slowly become quiet. But his existence itself would affect people. Liang Chuan suddenly had a strange feeling. Some people, a lot of words. People are more confused. But some people just sit there. Makes people feel very at ease. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. True wisdom often doesn't come out by force, but naturally flows out. Chapter 57. The more rules there are, the more civilized the world becomes. The more civilized the world becomes. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man came to a new city. This city is very large. The city gates were covered with notices. Liang Chuan stopped and began to read them one by one. The first one read, no unauthorized goods are to be sold on the street. The second read, no wandering around at night. The third read, all merchants must report to the city government. The fourth, the fifth, the sixth. The more Liang Chuan read, the more he frowned. He turned to the old man and asked, "Teacher, there are so many rules in this city." The old man nodded. Yes. They walked into the city. But strangely, the streets were actually chaotic. Some people were trading secretly. Some people were arguing. Some people were arguing with the guards. Liang Chuan was a little confused. "Teacher, aren't there many rules?" The old man looked at the street and said a simple sentence. "Too many rules. People will start to find ways to avoid them." Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued, when a place starts to have many rules, it usually means one thing. They no longer trust each other. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man said again, when there is trust between people, in fact many rules are not needed. The old man pointed to the market in the distance. There is a small stall there. The old man left. But the iron box was placed on the table. Someone took it. The old man, a truly good place, doesn't need many rules. Liang Chuan slowly understood. If a society has more and more rules, thicker and thicker laws, and more control, it's not necessarily because the world is better, but because the world is beginning to lose its natural order. The old man finally said, those who truly understand governance will do one thing. Do less. Liang Chuan was a little confused. Do less. The old man nodded. Interfere less. Control less. Command less. The old man looked at the distant mountains and said a sentence. When rulers want to manage everything, the world will become more and more chaotic. Liang Chuan suddenly understood some things. The more you try to control them, the more out of control they become. Chapter 58, Good Things and Bad Things. Their treasures were often together that day. Liang Chuan and the old man left the town. Walked into a field. This place had just been harvested. Farmers were bagging the rice stalks. It looked like a good year. Everyone was very happy. Liang Chuan watched these and smiled along. It should be a good harvest this year, right? The old man nodded. It's a good year. But the old man said another sentence, however. A good year can also turn into a bad year. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man pointed to the granaries full of rice stalks. If there's too much to eat, some people will start to waste. The old man said again, if everyone thinks this year is very good, they might not work as hard next year. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man continued, many things are like this. Within good things, seeds of bad things are often hidden. Liang Chuan asked, what about bad things? The old man smiled. Good things are often hidden within them too. Liang Chuan thought for a moment, and suddenly said, like some people after failing, become even stronger. The old man nodded. The old man said slowly, the world's treasures are always turning. Good and bad often change into each other. Liang Chuan suddenly thought of a saying he had heard before. The old man also said it, misfortune is where fortune leans. Fortune is where misfortune hides. Liang Chuan asked, then how should we view these things? The old man, don't jump to conclusions too early. The old man looked at the distant fields and said, today's bad things, maybe tomorrow's good things. Today's good things may also become future problems. Liang Chuan nodded slowly. He suddenly understood something. Many times, people suffer because they are too eager to judge whether something is good or bad. The old man finally said, those who truly understand the Tao see things more long-term. Liang Chuan looked at the rice field before him. The wind blew across the field, and the rice stalks swayed gently. The world seemed to be constantly changing, but there was some unseen law. Chapter 59, The world is actually slowly accumulated. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked up a hillside. On the hillside there was a patch of newly planted saplings. An old farmer was bending over watering them. Liang Chuan stopped. He looked at the small saplings and asked, Teacher, how long will it take for these trees to grow? The old man, a long time. Liang Chuan was a little puzzled. Then why is this farmer willing to plant them? The old man smiled. Because he knows that trees grow slowly. Liang Chuan looked at the old farmer. He watered them every day and tended to them every day, but the trees seemed to show no change. The old man, many things are like this. True lasting strength is built up slowly. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. Like learning. The old man nodded. Like governing a person. Like governing a country. The old man squatted down and touched the soil next to the sapling. If a person is in a hurry for a tree to grow, he might do one thing. Liang Chuan asked what? Pull the tree upwards. Liang Chuan couldn't help but laugh. Wouldn't the tree die? The old man also smiled. Many people do things. It's just like this. The old man said slowly, they want to be fast. They want to see results immediately. But the old man shook his head. Truly long-lasting things all require time. The old man said again, so those who understand how to govern the world will do one thing. Liang Chuan asked what thing? First learn restraint. The old man looked at the saplings. Restrain desires. Restrain actions. Restrain interference. Liang Chuan slowly understood. If a person can accumulate continuously, his strength will become deeper and deeper. The old man finally said, when a person accumulates for a long time, his roots will be very deep. Deep roots make him not easily fall. Liang Chuan looked at the patch of saplings and suddenly understood something. The truly powerful things in the world are almost never sudden. but rather accumulated bit by bit. Chapter 60. Governing the world is like cooking a small fish. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to a river. There was a small village by the river. Villagers were starting a fire to cook. Fish was being cooked in a pot. The aroma slowly wafted out. Liang Chuan couldn't help but look a little longer. An old woman was holding a wooden spoon, carefully stirring the fish in the pot. But her movements were very light, almost imperceptible. Liang Chuan was a little curious. Why didn't she stir it more? The old man smiled. If you keep stirring the fish, what will happen to the fish? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It will fall apart, right? The old man nodded. When cooking a small fish, the most important thing is not to keep moving it. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued. Governing a place is actually the same. Liang Chuan asked, is it also not to keep moving it? The old man nodded. Many people govern the world this way. Constantly issuing orders, constantly changing rules, constantly interfering. The old man shook his head. The result is like constantly stirring the fish. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. If you keep moving it, the whole fish will eventually turn into minced meat. The truly skillful ones only act when necessary. The old man looked at the river water and said slowly, if the ruler of a place understands restraint, people can live naturally. Liang Chuan asked, then what if you keep managing? Old man, then people will start to fear. After fear, more chaos will appear. Liang Chuan looked at the fish. The old woman just watched the heat carefully. Seemed to move again. But the fish slowly cooked. The aroma grew stronger and stronger. Liang Chuan suddenly understood something. Some things are not better the more you do them, but rather, doing them just right. Old man, finally, those who truly understand the way know when to act and know when not to act. Liang Chuan looked at the river surface. The water flowed slowly. He didn't try to control it, but everything was natural. Chapter 61. True power understands to be below. That day Liang Chuan and the old man came to a large river. Water flow. Water flow. Water flow. River? River? Old man, water always flows to low places. Liang Chuan nodded. This is a natural thing. The old man pointed to the large river. Look, all the water eventually gathers here. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, so the lower the place the more water there is? The old man nodded. Yes, the old man slowly said, so a truly great river must be in a low place. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. He suddenly felt that what the old man was talking about was similar. A country always wants to be above others. The old man shook his head. Then others will be afraid. After fear they will resist. Liang Chuan slowly understood. The old man continued, but if a great country intends to be below, intends to be inclusive, many countries will instead want to approach it. Liang Chuan looked at the river water and suddenly understood. The reason the river is great is not because it catches every stream. Power. Intends to be below. Liang Chuan looked at the large river. The water kept flowing in. West. West. On the surface it looks very low, but precisely because of this, the world will slowly approach it. Chapter 62. The way is actually everyone's reliance. That day Liang Chuan and the old man walked into a city. The city was very lively. People came and went in the market. Some were selling cloth, some were selling tea. Some were bargaining loudly. Walk past. That person's hands were bound, his clothes were tattered. The people around were talking. Take him away. After a moment of silence. The way? The old man did not answer immediately. He looked at the people on the street. Slowly, what do you think the Great Way is? Said. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man said, the Great Way is not a reward. It is a reliance. Liang Chuan frowned. Reliance? The old man nodded. Good people rely on it. Bad people also rely on it. Liang Chuan didn't quite understand. The old man pointed to the sky. Who does the sun shine on? Liang Chuan replied, everyone. Who does the rain fall on? Everyone too. The old man, the Great Way is the same. It does not discriminate. Liang Chuan was suddenly silent. The old man continued, for good people. The road. Liang Chuan looked at the street he had just passed and suddenly understood something. Come. The old man finally said, so those who truly understand the Great Way will not rush to deny others, because he knows everyone. Even bad people are still on the road. Liang Chuan looked at the sky. Clouds drifted by slowly. At that moment, he suddenly understood, the Great Way does not belong to a few people, but the whole world is within it. Chapter 63, How Masters Handle Things. Liang Chuan and the old man passed by a village. There was someone waiting at the entrance of the village. The sound is very loud. Liang Chuan stopped. It turns out that Yu Hu Ren Jia was arguing over a piece of land. It started with unclear boundaries, but now it has become a conflict for the entire family. Some people even picked up sticks. Liang Chuan frowned. Just a dispute. How could it escalate into such an argument? The old man watched for a while. He said faintly, because it's too late. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man nodded. If it was dealt with when the boundaries were still unclear, things wouldn't have escalated. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man continued, many things are like this. In the beginning, the problem is very small, but people always feel that the relationship. The old man drew a line on the ground with his hand. When the problem becomes big, and then you want to solve it. The old man shook his head. It's very difficult. Liang Chuan asked, so what do experts do? The old man replied, experts deal with things before they escalate. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It means dealing with the problem when it's still small. The old man nodded. Truly big problems actually start from small problems. The old man looked at the distant mountains. He said slowly, the tallest tower is built stone by stone. The longest journey starts with the first step. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. The reason why many things become difficult is not because the problem is too big, but because people deal with it too late. The old man said finally, the truly harmful person is not the one who solves big problems. He paused. Then, but the one who prevents big problems from appearing in the first place. Liang Chuan looked at the distant village. The argument was still ongoing, but he suddenly understood something. Many chaotic situations actually have signs early on, but most people don't pay attention. Chapter 64, All great things actually start from very small beginnings. That morning, Liang Chuan and the old man left the arguing village. The mountain path was very quiet. The mist had not yet dispersed. As they walked, Liang Chuan suddenly stopped. He saw a very tall tree on the road. Its trunk was so thick that it would take several people to hug it. Its branches stretched far out, almost covering the entire mountain path. Liang Chuan looked up at the tree. This tree must have grown for many years. The old man nodded. Liang Chuan couldn't help but say, it's hard to imagine it was once just a small seed. The old man smiled. But that's how things are. The old man reached down and picked up a tiny seed and placed it in Liang Chuan's hand. Such a small thing can also become a towering tree. Liang Chuan looked at the seed. and suddenly thought of the village from yesterday. The old man said slowly, many things in the world are like this. The largest buildings start from a pile of dirt. The longest journey starts with the first step. Liang Xuan asked, so are many difficult situations like this? The old man nodded. Many rats. At first it was just a small mistake. Many big problems. It was just a little bit ignored at first. Liang Xuan suddenly thought of something. That's why masters deal with things when they are still small. The old man looked at him. Not only that. The old man continued, those who truly understand the way. There is one more thing they pay attention to. Liang Xuan asked, what? The old man replied, don't destroy it when it's almost finished. Liang Xuan was stunned for a moment. The old man, many people do things. They do well at the beginning. But in the end, suddenly become impatient. As a result, all failed. Liang Xuan was silent for a while. He suddenly discovered, this is very common. Many things are almost successful. It fails at the last step. The old man looked at the mountain road in the distance. Slowly, so those who truly harm people. They are determined from the beginning. They are still determined at the last moment. Liang Xuan looked at the big tree. Then looked at the small seed in his hand. Suddenly understood something. All the great things in the world. They all start from a very small beginning. The old man finally said, if you know to pay attention from the beginning, many problems would not have appeared at all. The mountain mist slowly dispersed. The road in the distance became clear. Liang Xuan suddenly felt, many things are actually like this. As long as the direction is correct from the beginning, the road ahead will not be too difficult. Chapter 65, Knowing Too Much. The world becomes more complicated instead. That afternoon, Liang Xuan and the old man walked into a small town. The city gate was plastered with notices. Some were regulations. Some were new taxes. The entire wall was covered with text. Liang Xuan stood there and looked for a long time. The more he looked, the more he frowned. Teacher, why are there so many regulations here? The old man glanced at it. He said lightly, because they want to calculate everything clearly. Liang Xuan asked, isn't that good? The old man walked forward slowly and said, sometimes too much knowledge is confusing. Liang Xuan was stunned. The old man, if every matter needs to be calculated and solved with strategy, the world will become more and more complicated. Liang Xuan thought for a moment. It is indeed so. Some places have more and more regulations, but things haven't gotten better. The old man stopped and pointed to a small village in the distance. Do you remember that mountain village? Liang Xuan nodded. That village has almost no regulations, but everyone lives peacefully. The old man, many people in ancient times who truly understood the Great Way. They did not deliberately make people overly knowledgeable. Liang Xuan asked, why? The old man replied, because excessive knowledge often leads to scheming. Once there is too much scheming, people will start to guard against each other. Liang Xuan suddenly understood. If everyone is thinking, how to take advantage, how to win over others, how to scheme, then the whole world will become very tiring. The old man finally said, truly wise governance is not about people becoming more and more shrewd, but about people living simpler and simpler lives. Liang Xuan looked at the exquisite notice. Suddenly he understood. Some places are complicated. Not because there are many things to do, but because people want to control everything too much. Chapter 66, Why the Sea Can Become the King of 100 Rivers. That day, Liang Xuan and the old man walked for a long time. Finally they arrived at a cliff. Below the cliff was a vast sea. The sea was boundless. Waves from the distance rolled towards the shore layer by layer. Liang Xuan stood at a high place, looking at the sea. Suddenly, teacher, why do all rivers eventually flow into the sea? The old man looked at the sea surface and said faintly, because the sea is in the lowest place. Liang Xuan was stunned for a moment. The lowest? The old man nodded. Water always flows downhill, so all rivers will eventually reach the sea. Liang Xuan quietly looked at the sea. Suddenly he understood a little, but not completely yet. The old man slowly said, the reason why the sea can become the king of 100 rivers is not because it is stronger than the rivers, but because it is willing to be at the bottom. Liang Xuan was suddenly stunned. He began to understand what the old man was thinking. The old man continued, many things in the world are the same. If a person always wants to stand above others, people will resist him. But if a person is willing to lower himself, people will be willing to follow him. Liang Chuan was silent for a while. Suddenly he thought of many things. Many truly respected people are often not the most powerful ones. The old man looked at the sea surface and continued, truly great people often put themselves behind. But in the end, people push them to the front. Liang Chuan looked into the distance. The waves rolled in layer by layer, always maintaining their calmness. Liang Chuan suddenly understood, the greatest power is often not standing in the highest position, but being willing to stand at the very bottom. The old man finally said one sentence, so those who truly understand the way and want to lead the world must first learn to humble themselves. The sea breeze blew across the cliff. Liang Chuan stood there for a long time. He suddenly discovered that many things in the world are actually like water. The lower you go, the more you can embrace everything. Chapter 67, The Old Man, I Have 3 Treasures. That evening, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to a grassland. The sky in the distance was dyed golden by the setting sun. The wind blew across the grass, and the entire grassland undulated like waves. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, Teacher, you have seen so many things. If you had to choose, what is the most important principle? The old man stopped walking, looking at the sky in the distance. After a while, he smiled. If I really have to say, I have 3 treasures. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man nodded. Many people think the world relies on brightness, but I think there are only 3 truly important things. Liang Chuan immediately asked, what are the 3 things? The old man slowly said, the first one is compassion. Liang Chuan frowned. Compassion. The old man nodded. It is to be kind to people. It is to understand people. It is to protect life. The old man looked at the grassland. Without compassion, power will quickly turn into destruction. Liang Chuan nodded. The old man continued, the second one. Liang Chuan asked, moderation. The old man said, not just restraint, but not wasting. Not pursuing excessively, knowing what is enough. The old man said, if a person is never satisfied, his heart will never be at peace. Liang Chuan listened quietly. The old man finally said, the third one is not daring to be the first in the world. Liang Chuan was stunned. What does it mean to not compete? The old man smiled. It means not rushing to be the first. Liang Chuan was very surprised. Why? The old man said, many people try desperately to win, to surpass everyone. But those who truly last long are often not the ones at the very front. The old man looked into the distance and slowly said, because of compassion, there is true courage. Because of moderation, true strength can be preserved. Because of not competing for the first place, one can actually go the farthest. The sunset slowly fell. The grassland became quiet. Liang Chuan stood there. Suddenly felt very peaceful in his heart. He discovered the 3 things the old man talked about were actually very simple treasures. But the more he thought about them, the deeper they became. Perhaps the true power of the world is not complex strategies, but 3 very simple principles. Chapter 68, The Truly Powerful People. Dislike the door. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to the side of a main road. Dust was flying in the distance. A troop of soldiers was marching. Their armor gleamed in the sun. The troop advanced in an orderly fashion. Their momentum was strong. Liang Chuan looked at the troop of soldiers and couldn't help but say, Teacher, these people look very powerful. The old man nodded. They are trained very well. Liang Chuan asked, if a war really broke out, they should be very strong, right? The old man looked at the distant troop. After a while, he said something that surprised Liang Chuan. The truly powerful people. His treasure is not liked. Liang Chuan was stunned. Why? Old man, because those who truly understand power know what the door represents. Liang Chuan asked, what does it represent? The old man replied, it represents failure. Liang Chuan was even more confused. The old man slowly explained, if things can be solved with wisdom, there is no need for strength. If it can be solved by communication, there is no need for conflict. Liang Chuan was silent. The old man continued, those who truly lead troops do not like to fight. Those who truly understand people do not like to fight. Those who truly win do not show off. Liang Chuan slowly understood. True masters don't spend all day thinking about defeating others. The old man finally said, those who truly understand the way, even if they have to use force, have people in their hearts. Liang Chuan watched the soldiers march away. Suddenly he felt, true power is the ability to control power. The wind blew across the road. The soil slowly settled. Liang Chuan suddenly understood in his heart. True masters are not those who like to fight, but those who can prevent conflict from happening. Chapter 69 looks like retreating, but is actually winning. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to a valley. The sound of shouting came from afar. It turned out to be a troop of soldiers training. The soldiers were holding wooden spears and practicing. A troop of soldiers was practicing formations. One troop suddenly began to retreat. Step by step they retreated. It looked like they were going to lose. Liang Chuan frowned. Teacher, are they going to lose? The old man shook his head. Not necessarily. Liang Chuan watched carefully. The retreating soldiers were not in disarray. Instead they maintained their formation, slowly luring the opponent forward. Suddenly, the retreating formation suddenly parted. Another troop of soldiers flanked them. The entire situation was instantly reversed. Liang Chuan was stunned. So they were pretending to retreat. The old man nodded. This is a very ancient wisdom. Liang Chuan asked, is it using retreat to win? The old man, those who truly understand conflict, will not rush to attack. Sometimes taking a step back allows one to see the situation more clearly. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It is indeed so. Many conflicts occur because neither side is willing to back down. The old man slowly said, therefore true masters often seem to be retreating. But in fact, they are just not in a hurry to make a move. Liang Chuan was silent for a while. Suddenly he thought of many things. Sometimes winning one thing means losing something bigger. The old man finally said, those who truly understand the way, when encountering street ambushes, he wouldn't rush to fight, because he knew taking a step back was sometimes the strongest power. The harsh training in the valley ended. The soldiers began to pack up. Liang Chuan looked at the open space. Suddenly understood, many victories in the world were not actually won by the sharp edge of a sword, but by knowing when to retreat. Chapter 70. The Daoist is very simple. Few people truly achieve it. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked into a city. Merchants were hawking their wares on the streets. Scholars were discussing knowledge. And people were talking about politics and power. Voices rose and fell. Liang Chuan listened for a while and found that the things everyone was discussing were very complicated. Some were about how to make more money. Some were about how to defeat opponents. Some were about how to become more famous. Liang Chuan couldn't help but ask the old man, teacher, why do people make things so complicated? The old man looked at the crowd on the street and said lightly, because simple truths are too hard to accept. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. Simple is actually difficult. The old man nodded. Many truly important truths, such as, don't be overly greedy, don't rush to do things, take your time, be kind to others, maintain goodwill. Liang Chuan nodded. These are indeed not difficult to understand. The old man continued, but very few people actually do them. Liang Chuan thought for a moment. It is indeed so. Many people know what is right, but they still do the opposite. The old man said slowly, the reason why truths are called Dao is not because they are mysterious, but because they are too natural. Liang Chuan was silent for a while, watching the people come and go on the street. The old man finally said, many people think that those who understand the Dao are strange. But in fact, it is this world that is strange. Liang Chuan couldn't help but smile. The sun slowly set. The sun slowly set. The city's sounds were still lively. But Liang Chuan suddenly felt those truths the old man spoke of were actually very simple. It's just that few people are willing to truly act on them. Chapter 71. True wisdom is knowing that you don't know. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked near an academy. There were many young people in the courtyard. They were discussing knowledge. Some were debating loudly. Some were flipping through books. The atmosphere was very lively. Liang Chuan stood at the entrance and watched. The things they were discussing were very numerous. Politics, governance, philosophy, the way to rule a country. Everyone spoke with great certainty, as if they knew everything. Liang Chuan couldn't help but ask the old man, They all seem very knowledgeable. The old man glanced and said lightly, some are. Some just think they are. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man said slowly, there are two types of people in the world. One type knows that they don't know. The other type doesn't know that they don't know. Liang Chuan frowned. This is very different. The old man nodded. Very different. People who don't know they don't know will feel they already understand. Liang Chuan was silent for a moment. He suddenly thought of many things. Some people understand more and more. Some people learn more and more confidently. The old man looked at the people in the academy. Slowly, true wisdom is not knowing many things, but knowing your own limits. Liang Chuan stood at the door, watching those people debate fiercely. Suddenly felt a wonderful contrast. Some voices are loud, but they don't necessarily understand. The old man finally said, those who truly understand the way will not feel they know a lot. The wind blew through the courtyard of the academy. The sound of turning pages was very light. Liang Chuan suddenly understood, true wisdom is not knowing everything, but knowing you still have a lot you don't know. Chapter 72. When people are no longer afraid, things will change. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked outside a city. There was a long line of people at the city gate. Soldiers were inspecting everyone's goods. Some merchants were taken down. Some were fined. Some were taken away. The atmosphere seemed tense. Liang Chuan whispered, the management here seems very. Liang Chuan whispered, the management here seems very strict. Liang Chuan whispered, the management here seems very. The old man nodded. Not long after, suddenly a quarrel broke out ahead. A farmer was pushed down by a soldier because he didn't have enough tax money. People around began to be dissatisfied. Some people complained in low voices. Some people clenched their fists. The atmosphere slowly became oppressive. Liang Chuan frowned. Teacher, isn't this kind of rule too much? The old man looked at the crowd. Slowly, if it's suppressed for too long, people will no longer be afraid. Liang Chuan was stunned. Not afraid. The old man nodded. When people still have a way out, they will endure. But if life is pushed to the extreme, fear will disappear. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly thought of many historical uprisings. Many things started like this. The old man continued, those who truly understand governance will not push people to a dead end. Liang Chuan asked, why? The old man replied, because once fear disappears, things become difficult to control. The soldiers in the distance were still shouting loudly, but the surrounding people had already stopped bowing their heads. The old man finally said, truly wise leaders will not use fear to maintain order. Because once the illusion of fear is broken, order will disappear with it. Liang Chuan looked at the silent crowd. Suddenly understood something. Some regimes seem very strong, but they are actually built on fear. And the illusion of fear, the most unstable power, is not coming. Chapter 73. The Power of the Heavenly Tao. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked on a mountain road. The mountain road was very quiet. Only the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves. When they reached the middle of the mountain, Liang Chuan suddenly saw a group of people. They were chasing a deer. They were chasing a pair of deer. The people shouted loudly. The bows were already drawn. The graceful deer desperately ran deeper into the mountain forest. Liang Chuan couldn't help but say, this pair of deer probably want escape. The old man glanced. Said nothing. Just then, the deer suddenly rushed into a dense forest. The terrain became very complex. It was difficult for the men's horses to advance. Not long after, the deer disappeared. The people searched for a while. Finally they had to give up. Liang Chuan was a little surprised. It actually escaped. The old man said lightly, sometimes it's not the fast runner who wins, but the one who adapts to the environment wins. Liang Chuan thought for a moment, seemed to understand a little. The old man continued, some people are brave in their actions. Some people are cautious in their actions. Brave people sometimes succeed, but may also fail. Cautious people sometimes are slow, but can go further. Liang Chuan asked, then which one is right? The old man looked at the distant mountains and forests, slowly said, what truly determines the outcome is not but the heavenly Tao. Liang Chuan was stunned. Heavenly Tao. The old man nodded. The world has its own balance. Some people seem very strong, will eventually fall. Some people seem very weak, will eventually remain. The old man finally said, the heavenly Tao is very fair, but it does not make mistakes. The mountain wind blew through the forest. Liang Chuan looked at the dense forest. Suddenly felt the world seems to have an invisible order. Not something humans can fully control, but it has always existed. Chapter 74, When a Person Fears No Death. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked into a small town. The atmosphere in the town was a bit heavy. Many people were gathered on the street. Everyone was looking at the same place. By the city gate, a person was tied to a wooden post. Guards stood nearby. It looked like an execution. Liang Chuan felt uncomfortable. He asked in a low voice, what crime did he commit? A nearby merchant replied, theft. Liang Chuan was stunned. Theft is punishable by death. The man gave a wry smile. The harvest was poor this year. Many people are starving. Liang Chuan fell silent. Just then, the person being punished suddenly burst into laughter. Laughter was loud. Didn't look like someone about to be executed at all. Liang Chuan couldn't help but frown. Why wasn't he scared at all? The old man looked at that. Slowly, because he has nothing left to lose. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man continued, if a person still has a life, still has hope, still has family, he would be afraid of death. But if he has nothing, death is no longer scary. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. The old man said again, some rulers think that by using death to intimidate people, they can maintain order. But if people are no longer afraid of death, this kind of threat is useless. Liang Chuan slowly looked up, looking at the person who was smiling. Suddenly felt a heavy burden in his heart. The old man finally said, truly wise governance is not by fear, but by people living with joy. The wind blew through the city gate. The crowd slowly dispersed. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. If people in a world live with hope, then death is no longer a threat. Chapter 75, Why do people become poor? That day, Liang Chuan and the old man came to a remote village. The village was very quiet, but the atmosphere was a bit heavy. Many houses were dilapidated. The fields also looked desolate. Liang Chuan walked into the village, saw a child distributing bowls of thin porridge. Each person only took a sip, and passed the bowl to someone else. Liang Chuan was a little shocked. An old man next to him gave a bitter smile. The harvest is not good this year, but it's still the same amount. Liang Chuan frowned. The harvest is not good. Shouldn't it be reduced? The old man shook his head. The government doesn't care about these things. Liang Chuan was silent. He walked to the outskirts of the village, saw that many fields could actually be cultivated. But the villagers had no strength to farm. Liang Chuan asked the old man, teacher, why do some places get worse and worse? The old man looked at the village in the distance. Slowly said, many people think it's because people are lazy. But often, it's not like that. Liang Chuan looked up. The old man continued, if the top takes too much, the bottom will become poor. Liang Chuan was stunned. The old man said again, if rulers interfere too much, people will lose their vitality. If rulers are too greedy, people will live a hard life. Liang Chuan looked at the village. Suddenly understood. Some suffering is not caused by nature, but by humans. The old man finally said, truly good governance is when people can live easily, not when people struggle to survive. The wind blew across the fields. Liang Chuan looked at the village in the distance. suddenly understood something in his heart. The appearance of a world often reflects the appearance of those in power. Chapter 76 Softness of Life. Stiffness of Death. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked along a mountain path. The wind on the road gently brushed the leaves, bringing a sense of peace. Halfway up the mountain, Liang Chuan saw a giant old tree, reaching high into the clouds, but its branches and leaves had withered. The trunk was slightly leaning. The old man stopped, pointing to the old tree. Look at this tree. It must have been very strong, but it was too stiff. Liang Chuan looked at the old tree, thinking, it's not very sturdy. How could it fall? The old man smiled. Strength can easily break. Softness can easily survive. The old man then pointed to the grass beside it. The grass was short, but swayed gently in the wind. Every time the wind passed, they bent. Look at these grasses. They look weak, but they can survive storms longer than the old tree. Liang Chuan slowly understood. It turns out that what can truly survive is not the strongest, but the one that can adapt to change. The old man continued, people are the same. Rigid people are easily defeated. Soft people can adapt to the world's affairs and live longer. Liang Chuan thought for a while, so softness is not weakness, but a kind of wisdom. The old man nodded, yes. Softness is a survival strategy. It's not avoidance, but going with the flow. Liang Chuan looked at the old tree in the grass, and suddenly felt a clarity in his heart. He began to understand, the way of heaven favors softness over rigidity. Adapting to the world is more important than brute force. True strength is often hidden in apparent weakness. The old man finally said, remember, the living are the soft ones. The dead are the stiff ones. The wind blew across the mountain path, carrying the sound of the grass swaying gently. In Liang Chuan's heart, for the first time he truly felt the order and power by which the world operates. Chapter 77 The way of heaven is like drawing a bow. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man came to a valley. In the valley people were practicing archery. A young archer was repeatedly drawing his bow. Liang Chuan stood by and watched for a while. The bowstring was slowly drawn back. The bow body curved. Power gradually gathered. Then the arrow was shot. The old man suddenly asked, what do you see? Liang Chuan thought for a moment. The bow was drawn back. Power was concentrated. Then the arrow was shot. The old man nodded. But did you notice the shape of the bow? Liang Chuan was stunned, and looked again carefully. As the bow was drawn back, the upper and lower ends curved. Middle becomes straight. Old man, when the bow is drawn, high places are lowered. Low places are raised. Liang Chuan suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. The old man slowly said, the way of heaven is also like this. High places will be pressed down. Low places will be filled up. Liang Chuan was silent for a while. Then he asked, what about human society? The old man lightly sighed. Often it's the opposite. More and more people have surplus. Fewer and fewer people are lacking. Liang Chuan's heart trembled. He suddenly thought of many things. The rich get richer. The poor get. Power becomes more concentrated. The weak become weaker. The old man watched the archer draw the bow again. Slowly said, those who truly understand the way do not keep their strength only to themselves, but let the surplus flow to where it is lacking. Liang Chuan quietly watched the bow. The bowstring was drawn again. Melody, balance. Then the arrow was shot. At that moment, he suddenly understood something. The world originally had its own balance. It's just that people often forget it. The old man finally said, the way of heaven will slowly restore balance. But sometimes it takes a long time. Arrows were shot again in the valley, drawing a quiet arc in the air. Chapter 78 The world's strongest power, water. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to a large river. The river flowed very slowly. It looked quiet and gentle. Liang Chuan squatted down, scooped up the river water with his hand. The water immediately scattered. There was no resistance at all. Liang Chuan smiled. Water is really weak. The old man looked at the river water and asked softly, really weak? Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man pointed to the riverbank in the distance. There was a huge rock there. There was a deep crack on the surface of the rock. The old man said, look at that rock. Liang Chuan nodded. The old man continued, that was not left by swords. Liang Chuan. The old man nodded. Water flows over it every day. Year after year. Slowly. The stone was ground open. Liang Chuan was silent. He suddenly thought of many things. Water looks very soft. But over time, it can even change stone. The old man added, there is nothing in the world softer than water. But there is also nothing harder than it. Liang Chuan looked at the river water. Water flowed over the rocks. Flowed over the riverbank. Flowed to the distance. It did not confront anything. Slowly changing the entire terrain. The old man finally said, true strength often looks very weak. But as long as it goes with the world, it will slowly change everything. The wind blew across the river. Ripples spread across the water's surface. Liang Chuan suddenly understood. True power is not to collide with the world, but to flow with the world. Chapter 79, How the Enlightened Face Grievances. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to two neighboring villages. The atmosphere between the villages was tense. Many people gathered in the fields, arguing with each other. Liang Chuan later learned that the two villages had been arguing over a canal for many years, both wanting the water to flow to their fields first. This year the weather was dry, and there was even less water. The conflict became more intense. Liang Chuan looked at the angry people and couldn't help but say, if the water could be distributed evenly, wouldn't that be enough? The old man shook his head. Many things are not that simple. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man continued, many disputes in the world actually have no perfect answers. Liang Chuan fell silent. The old man continued, if everyone only wants to win, conflicts will never end. Liang Chuan asked, then what should we do? The old man looked at the canal and said, those who truly understand the way will not accumulate hatred. Liang Chuan frowned. The old man said, some things can be solved. Some things can only be resolved. Liang Chuan slowly understood. Solving a problem means one side wins. Resolving a conflict means the hatred disappears. The old man finally said, the sage acts by doing their best to fulfill their responsibilities, not by forcing everyone to be satisfied. The sunset fell on the fields. The people of the two villages were still arguing. But Liang Chuan suddenly understood that those who truly understand the way do not try to win all disputes, but do not add new hatred to the world. Chapter 80, A Simple and Peaceful World. That day, Liang Chuan and the old man walked to a hilly area. In the distance was a small village. The village was not large, with only 10 households. There were no cities, no government, nor bustling markets. Only a small path, a few fields, and a quietly flowing river. Villagers were working in the fields. Children were playing by the river. Old people were chatting under a tree. The entire village appeared very peaceful. Liang Chuan looked at this place and suddenly felt an indescribable sense of comfort. He asked the old man in a low voice, why does this place make people feel so peaceful? The old man looked at the village and slowly said, because the people here do not have too many desires. Liang Chuan was stunned for a moment. The old man continued, if a country is small and its people are few, and everyone focuses on living their own lives well, without rushing to compete or rush to expand, the world will become very quiet. Liang Chuan looked into the distance. Its treasure is on the other side of the mountain. You can also see another village. It's not far from the industry, but between the two villages, there seems to be little interaction. The old man said, some worlds look prosperous, full of anxiety. Some places are simple, very peaceful. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly understood. The old man's ideal world. Not the strongest country, nor the richest place, but a place where people can live with peace of mind. The sun slowly set. Smoke rose from the village. The aroma of food wafted through the air. Liang Chuan stood at the village entrance. Suddenly felt the world become very quiet. The old man finally said, a truly good world is not that everything is there, but that everyone already has. The evening breeze blew across the fields. For the first time Liang Chuan felt in his heart, the world can be very simple. Chapter 81, The Last Lesson. That morning, Liang Chuan and the old man walked on a quiet path. The whole world seemed very quiet. Liang Chuan suddenly spoke. The old man turned his head. Just walked slowly. Liang Chuan was silent for a while, then asked a question he had thought about for a long time. If a person truly understands the way, what will he become in the end? The old man stopped, looked at the distant mountains. After a while, he smiled. What? The old man, it's actually very ordinary. Liang Chuan was stunned. Ordinary. The old man nodded. People who truly understand the way will not appear great, will not like to show off, nor will they tell everyone they know a lot. Liang Chuan asked, then what should he do? The old man slowly said, he just lives his life well. The wind blew through the mountains and forests. The leaves rustled. The old man continued, people who truly understand the way, their words are not necessarily many, but his words are usually very true. What he does is also very simple. Liang Chuan listened quietly. The old man finally said, people who truly understand the way are not necessarily smarter than others, but he will not fight against the world. He lives according to the laws of the world. Liang Chuan suddenly asked, teacher, then why don't you change the world? The old man looked at him. The world is already changing. People who truly understand the way do not need to control the world. Just don't destroy it. Liang Chuan was silent for a long time. He suddenly discovered the old man actually never did anything earth-shattering. He just walked, observed the world. But Liang Chuan slowly understood many things. The old man finally said, the best words are often not the most magnificent. The wisest person will not argue with people. Truly wise people will help others, but will not ask for anything in return. The old man looked at the distant mountains and spoke his last words. Those who truly understand the way, the more they help others, the richer they themselves become. The more they give away, the more they themselves have. Shown on the mountain path, Liang Chuan suddenly understood that all along this journey, the old man had been doing one thing. Simply telling him the laws of the world. Liang Chuan took a deep breath and looked at the road ahead. That road was very long. But Liang Chuan knew. He finally knew how to walk it. The old man turned and continued forward. Liang Chuan followed him. The mountain path was quiet. The wind blew gently. The story ends here. But the road has just begun.